Hi, Gamer Words. Welcome in, welcome in. Hope you're having a good day today. Um, so far it's been fantastic. Past 15 minutes I've been up so far. Um, dot color is not on, by the way. I'm trying to put it on as we're speaking. At the same time, I don't know how to fix my iPhone, I guess. I don't know what's happening here. I'm holding down the power button so I can reset it. It's just not registering. Um, in this case, so like, it's just not working. I'm just I guess I don't know if I'm gonna be like a PNG today. You know, like a disembodied voice, and you just see the anime woman standing there, ominously blank stare in her eyes, no thoughts behind there, something along those lines. Uh, have you tried not being a tech literate woman? No, actually. Um, it's impossible. Uh, I like okay. Let me take this off the damn stand that I have it on, cause like I don't I don't understand. Like it's not like I press the power button lightly, and it turns on in the sense like I can see like the screen like this. What's it called? The front screen, like whatever that is, where you see like the time. Right, that's on, and then but like I can't if I swipe up it just dies. And yes, it is charged. And holding down the power button doesn't work. Like it's not registering that. It just doesn't work. Is there another way to do this? Hold on. Now I gotta Google this shit. Man, like, is there a ways to reset iPhone cases? Um, way to reset iPhone or restart. Work. Quick restart to a full factory. We're not doing a full factory reset. Holy shit, no. I mean, if I have to, I have to. I don't really have anything on there, but like, still. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay, I don't know the difference between a soft reset and a port. That kind of deal. Like, I just need to know how to not just hold down the power button. But is there a secondary way to reset a fucking iPhone here? I don't actually use the iPhone for anything other than video here. I have an Android because Android master race. If it's 2026 and we're still trying to do that. But but like what? I don't care about the VPN. Just let me. How do I reset the iPhone? Push volume up, then volume down, then hold power? Are you fucking with me or are you being serious? But I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. Push volume up, then volume down, and then hold power. Oh my god, that worked! Oh, wait. Hey yo, that actually fucking worked! Shout out to Mistborn! He saved my fucking life! Well, yeah, he basically saved my life. No, there's no taking it back now. That's actually this is pretty important, being able to, use my model because I'm supposed to be a VTuber. I might be a bit of a tourist, but I'm still technically a VTuber, all things considered. So, oh, let me start it here. Um, oh hey, you're finally live. Fuck you. Yes. I overslept. This is the first time I've overslept in like a Friday stream in a month. So I see that as an improvement. I know it doesn't sound like that, but I see it as an improvement that I haven't overslept a Friday stream in a month. In that case. So, progress is ignoring the fact that I immediately went back on the progress today, but it's fine. You know what? That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do for the YouTube goal. Is I won't oversleep next Friday. There we go. If we hit 10 supers of whatever colors on YouTube, I will not oversleep next Friday. Hell yeah. I might still oversleep. You legit did not know how to restart an iPhone? I just thought it would just hold down the power button. That's what it always is. Just hold down the power button. Didn't know I had to go up and then down and then through the woods and jump over a few hoops and cross the valleys and then, you know, go through the mountains and all the way to Grandma's house before I can fucking do it, man. So... oh... I'm surprised you didn't use your shot guard as an alarm clock. Yeah, that was downstairs charging. Which, by the way, it is on, so... use it as you please, I guess. To be fair, is up down power on Android to restart? What are you talking about? All I have to do is just hold down my power button. Like I'm doing it right now. Unless it's on unless you mean on like the home screen, not the home screen, the lock screen. There, that's what it's called. I've never tried to. No, I just hold down the power button on here as well. Is that like a settings thing that you have to change? I just didn't realize that I changed it on my iPhone. Because I literally did not fucking touch this thing, right? I didn't set it up or do anything. I just downloaded VTube Studio and said good enough because I'm not replacing my actual phone for this. Not because I actually hate iPhones or anything like that. I really don't care. I've had iPhones in the past. I use whatever phone actually works the best for me for whatever I need there. Period. In that case. But I have basically switched the Android in this case. So it's been a minute since I had an iPhone. There we go. I'm back to life. Hello, my gamer words. How are you doing today? Ignore the first 10 minutes of stream when I was yapping and you didn't see me moving at all. Hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. Ah. The immersion has not been ruined. Okay? It's meant to be exactly like this at all times. So, oh god, it moves! Get the flamer! Flamer. Yeah, I know what English is, yes. Anyway, how's your guys' days doing, actually? So far, mine hasn't been great. I just started it. But I hope your days have been better. And I hope today, I'll even with me being actually legitly late in yay here, I can make it better if not. If not, then I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, immersion. I know, right? Like, I don't really actually consider myself a VTuber. I call myself a streamer. I feel like there's a difference between streamers and VTubers. And I consider myself more of a streamer than a VTuber, but I also recognize that I'm a tourist. So, it is what it is. It's fun, you're just practicing ventriloquism. Yeah. Oh, fuck. So can I shot the crap out of you yet? Oh, okay, yeah. So, the shot color has been updated, chat. So, yes, 100 is max. Or $99.99 on YouTube, because YouTube does that shit. That is still there. Ko-Fi is now accepted, and it works. In that case as well. And, Kick does not, and Rumble does not. I knew Rumble wouldn't be able to work, but Kick I tried and played with, and I could not get that to work. So unfortunately, Kick's not accepted. Which is sad. If it does change, I'll change it, because Kick is the superior platform anyways. By a long shot for both the viewer and the streamer, but alas, we are not at that stage where Kick's actually accepted yet. So Ko-Fi and YouTube, is how they use the shot color. On top of that, I did also add tiers as well. So the hundo is max power that I can handle for, you know, max pain for a second. But for lower shocks, the 25 and 50 are enabled for both Ko-Fi and YouTube as well. So that option is there. You'll still get shot, just be lower. So the 100 is max that I can handle, which is 40 at the moment. 25 is 15, and 50 is 25. I know it doesn't actually line up with the dollar amount, so that's because I tested myself to figure out what pain I can handle, which is reasonable, all that fun stuff. It was a great time. For a great fucking time. But anyway, that is up and going now. If you wish to do so. How I don't actually like being shocked, and so I don't care if you consider it expensive. It's expensive on purpose. I don't want to be fucking shocked. So if you want to make it happen, that's on you. uh, Rumble being Rumble as usual. Yeah, Rumble's never probably gonna get support. Because it's via StreamerBot, also a pro, and StreamerBot, I can't see them supporting Rumble. I don't know. So Rumble never gets any support just because it's considered like the bad, evil platform. That's what Kick used to be referred to as well, but then enough people joined over, and now it's finally getting support for things. Like, there are things that I can do in StreamerBot. That's how the head pats are actually activated. Fun fact. But it doesn't have full integration just yet. It was money well spent during Outlast. Yeah. Can we still fund certain games with donating over 25? Of course. Of course. Like, if you shock, regardless of what tier that you shock me with, you can use your super chat to go towards a game. Because, I mean, listen, if you're gonna be spending that much money, it better be worth it, fucking right? Like, so, that is completely optional. I don't like backtracking. The only one that's on the table for backtracking is Eldritch Saga, since he had fun with the shot color the other night. But I didn't think about it until much later. So, when I see him again, I'll put that offer on the table for him, and him alone, because of the special circumstances. But other than that, make sure you label your supers for whatever game it is, even if it's shocking. The collar should be on max always. It's not gonna be on 100, okay? Like, I've played with it. It sucks. I do not enjoy being shot. It is not my kink, okay? Pain is not my kink. Domination is. I don't actually like pain. Pain makes me jar than the Sahara Desert. The receptors in place do not cross over, okay? I just, like, no. Yeah, okay? Okay, so I don't actually get off on this. I do not. Fuck you. 100% power is Pitbull level. Exactly. I'm not a fucking Pitbull. I am a Chihuahua. I am a small, tiny, scared, always cold and shivering Chihuahua that likes to has a big fucking bark and likes to yap a bunch. But when it comes to a real fucking fight, I'm a little fucking pussy and I run away, okay? I'm a Chihuahua. I do not get max 100% power. Thank you very much. Get shocked, woman. No, there's no. I don't see the dollar bills being thrown at me. I'm not getting fucking shocked. Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page. You're not supposed to enjoy it. Yeah, there's something called Pavlov, and there's people that do start enjoying it, and then that's not me. And there's some people that actually do thoroughly enjoy it. I know that's a case. Because fucking furries made this thing. Oh, fuck me. So, yeah. Okay. Wait, why is it not working? Hold on. Wait a second. Well, hold on. Hold on. Don't throw more money. You fucking... I almost... Okay. Learning process here. Okay, I know what happened. I fixed it. At least I think I fixed it. Sir Florida Man, thank you for the $25 videos over on YouTube. Good thing I just got a raise. Well, I'm proud you got a raise. But, don't always throw your money at strippers. Unfortunately, something did not work. I fixed it. I will shock myself. Since you did it and it didn't work. Give me 1 second. Thank you again for the $25 videos though, and congrats on the raise. I'm not sure if this is the best way to spend it, I'll be completely honest, but you know what, I'm not too much. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, yep. Yep, that's still uncomfortable. That is uncomfortable, but it's a lower setting, so it's not horrible. Horrible. And you're not gonna make me scream fuck and cry. But it is uncomfortable. Double the setting as reparations? No. No, thank you. This is not a yapping stream we've been lied to. It's a tech support stream. Listen, this is a yapping. This also includes tech support along the lines. It's fine. Okay, that's a lot more arousing than I thought it would be. Damn, what the fuck's wrong? Okay, I'm not gonna ask what's wrong with you. Fucking hell. What are the settings and prices now? 25 for a 15 shock power. It's enough that feels uncomfortable, but not super painful, but it's uncomfortable. There for a second. And then 50 for what was it? What would I have for 25? So that's definitely getting to the more pain territory at 25 for $50. In that case. And then it jumps to 100 for max setting, and that hurts. That fucking hurts. Zap, 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 get shocked, get shocked, get shocked, get shocked, fuck you. You bought some shock color made by furries in sweatshops in China. Don't ever question what's wrong with chat ever again. I guess chat does reflect the streamer after all, so I guess that makes sense. But I'm still gonna ask what's wrong with you, because I will not take any responsibility or accountability or understand anything about myself, okay? I'm gonna blame chat for all my problems. Okay? That's what I'm just gonna do. Are you training for a meetup with Hassan? No. Especially since he got banned off Twitch. Unless it's been reinstated, because he like a ban for a day and then he gets reinstated again. And I don't really care enough about him. But I just found it funny that he got banned again for the 7th time. I actually have tabs about it, because I was just like, because it's like the 7th time, and the reason why is because he criticized Israel. I'm just like, huh. First time? Oh. Yeah. Oh wait, Hassan got banned? Yeah, give me a second. I'll pull up the tabs. Let me blow my nose real quick. Okay, there we go. No! Shit! On a dick! Okay, we're fine. Okay. I about mild panic there. Sorry. I have been using not bookmarks. What are they called? I guess I use Firefox as a browser, and I need to switch over because holy fucking shit, it's always laggy as fuck. But I've been using the whole what are they called? Tabs. They are to apparently help with the laggy issue, and I had it in there, and I accidentally deleted the whole entire thing. I have like 20 tabs and called labeled random topics. This this is what I meant it when I labeled this today. I called it I called it's yapping, and it is random topics go burr. So um you always use a condom if you're doing anal. True. True. Except anal's gross in general, so please don't be doing that in the first place. Sex is for procreation. Oh. um, but yes, Hassan did get banned yesterday, late at 9:47 p.m. EST. Apparently it's the 7th ban as well. It probably was over nothing. Not over nothing. Sorry. It's probably nothing. He'll probably get back into action again. Like today or tomorrow. I don't know his stream schedule. I don't pay attention to him. Usually I avoid talking about him because it's just like the same old ha ha ha. Hassan's a piece of shit. Everyone hates him. Like, you know, he's got his lefty cult that's dying by the day. Bots a lot apparently, that kind of deal. You know. Not I was gonna call him a trust fund baby, but technically he's part of royalty. Turkish royalty in some way, shape, or form. He's got connections to players and obviously like Chang Yoger and everything like that. Like everything said about Hassan has been beaten to death like 1,000 times over and 1,000 times again. I just don't care about him. Like he should be deported. He's a Turk. He's an open communist in America. Actively trying to ruin it. Goes to riots and quote unquote protests. Like, but here we are. I thought this was a week? I mean, possibly. Let me actually click this. I don't really... Let's see. Banned. The thing is, even when he gets banned, like, it usually gets, like, reinstated, like, the next day. I remember this from last year. Oh, God, that was almost a year ago this happened, where a bunch of people were pissed that, like, they were, like, happy he got banned, and literally the next day he got unbanned, and everybody was, like, losing their shit over it. Or was it this one? Was it, they're both, yeah. Yeah, unbanned after a day. There's a few, unbanned after a few seconds back in 2019. Actually, it's been a hot minute since he's actually really been banned. 2022 to 2025, he banned 3 years without being banned and pop ban. I was gonna say that's impressive, but I'm pretty sure he sucked a lot of cock in that case. And the only time he's ever been banned was for 7 days, was back in 2021 and 2019. That was a long time ago. He'll probably be unbanned before the 7 days is over, because that's what happens. Unless they got so much controversy from the last time that they actually keep it this time, but we'll see how that goes. And each time he got banned on a day he wasn't going to stream anyways. Yeah, so whenever I hear it gets banned, I'm just like, whatever. It's Hassan. Like he has a double standard on Twitch, obviously. It is what it is. Like, we all know about it. So, the only thing I found interesting about this time around, and this is the reason why I gathered the tabs, was because why he actually got banned. Because apparently he got banned for talking about Israel. And it's like, oh, interesting. Okay. So, even he can fly too close to the sun when it comes to a certain topic here. So, excuse me. Yeah, I just found out you used to be on Twitch, go figure. Yeah, I mean, I streamed on Twitch because, like, Twitch is where everybody streams, which is why everybody streams on there, even though everybody hates it. That's what I did on Twitch. You know, even though I knew I knew Twitch would be short lived. But yeah, I did eventually get permabanned last summer. I think back in June or whatever the case was. And I was like, okay, like I was a bit upsetty waking up to that because it was overnight, and I know why I got permabanned. It wasn't anything I actually said on stream, by the way. It was because I said the N word on Twitter, and it went viral, and it pissed off the left. No surprise there, in that case. So it's well, like I figured like it'd be something I said on stream, not what I said on Twitter. That was the most irritating thing about my permaban on Twitch. Like it was just because of that. And then you know, of course, there's Hassan with a double standard. I used in my example because he's the most obvious target, and here he is getting banned for talking about Israel. So that was a legendary tweet. All I said was the N word. But yeah, it was a pretty good tweet actually. uh, Oy vey, not against the merchants. Yeah. I guess I'll play the clip. Let's see. For YouTube's sake, this is Hassan talking and not me.
The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what P.E.P.E. was wearing on the day he was killed. What appears to be a gun is also visible above his waistband.
What's more likely is that they filmed his fucking face and they put him on a watch list. As Ken Klippenstein reports in his exclusive, Sparta, Reaper, and Grapevine track protesters and their friends, plus others.
Klippenstein. Klippenstein. That... No, knowing the context that he got banned talking about Israel, I find this a little bit ironic that the source he's talking about is from Klippenstein right now.
ICE's secret watch list of Americans. We have a nice little database, and now you're considered a domestic terrorist. A masked federal agent taunted a protester filming him in Maine last week, if you recall. Remember this video? We've covered videos like this on numerous occasions on this broadcast, where ICE agents will walk up to counter protesters, will walk up to protesters and film them in their faces and go, smile, you're on fucking camera, you're on a watch list now. Department of Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin's response was firm. There is no database of domestic terrorists run by ICE. There's just one problem. She's lying. 2 senior national security officials tell me that there are more than a dozen secret and obscure watch lists that Homeland Security and the FBI are using to track protesters, both anti-ICE and pro-Palestinian. This is another big suck my dick to all the fucking Israel dick riders out there. You fucking rabid ultra-Zionist pigs. You fucking run around.
Well, the thing is, and not to actually agree with Hassan in this case, right? I don't mean to actually agree with him, but a broken clock is right twice a day. Like, obviously the FBI has a list. Like, it's well known, I feel like, at this point, that the federal government has a list of people that are, you know, severe crime people. Like, oh, what's the best word for this? Like, that commit severe crimes. So we got like domestic terrorists, you know, the sex pest, child molesters, you know, all the fun stuff. Like, how else do they find these people in the first place? Like, obviously they have a list. Now I know, and then there's the whole Palantir issue, that I am aware of. That there's the federal government is using Palantir to track people in a massive scale, across the board. They claim they're not doing it against civilians, but obviously they're doing it for civilians. Like, in a way, like, he is technically correct, when it comes to talking about the federal government having watch lists on people. But that's expected? I I don't know. Maybe I'm too deep in my own rabbit hole here, but like, I thought that was a well-known fact. uh so the FBI even has a larger list of possible right-wing threats. Yeah, like there's a reason why anything that's considered right-wing always gets shut down immediately, no matter what the case is, and gets infiltrated by the feds. Like, this is I don't know. This is not a shock in this case. Now, the point of contention I'm going to disagree with is this: I support ICE regardless if it's Israel backed or not, because one that doesn't actually make sense. And not to agree with Fuentes here. Though I guess I'm much more inclined to agree with Fuentes than Hassan on a daily basis, just because Fuentes and I have a lot of similar politics, even though I'm not a graper. In that case. But it's like, okay, who's actually pushing the mass immigration, right? Who's actually pushing the Great Replacement? What NGOs and what tiny hats do they wear when it comes to the white genocide that's actually happening in the Western world? Why would they also back ICE? Like, it doesn't make logical sense in that case. Now, I get that they like to play both sides on these different things, and I'm sure they're probably involved in some way, shape, or form, especially when it comes to Palantir in particular. I know for a fact that there are tiny hats involved when it comes to Palantir. But just because of that, I'm not going to not support ICE because of tiny hat involvement in that case. When ICE is the only real arm of the government, I guess there's also like border control and etc. But like, we have to have some arm of the federal government to actually take care of the illegals and the immigrants in the first place. And unfortunately, the federal government has kissed the ball, but we still need to get rid of the illegals. Like, so, like, it sucks, don't get me wrong, but I'm still going to support ICE. Like, so, like, but he's trying to come from this about like, oh, I don't want to support ICE because it's Israel backed here.
Around going, oh my God, Israel first, Israel first. Why are you tying this back to Palestine? Because this is precisely the fucking same shit. Okay? You Israel first monsters, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. How can you fucking say that when the first immigration action that the Trump administration took was literally try to deport anti-Israel protesters, trying to deport people for writing articles in their student newspaper against Israel, hurting Israel's feelings. And then they still act like this is not the identical situation.
He is somewhat correct in this case. It's not one of the first actions that they did for deportations, but yes, the Trump admin has been pretty strong when it comes to anti-Semitism, and they're trying to tie it back to being pro-Palestine for the leftist protesters, which on one hand is good because it goes after the left, which pretty much all the commies are pro-Palestine, like Hassan here in this case. And so I'm like, okay, great, go after the leftists. The bad thing is that they're using anti-Semitism as the reason, and that's where the far left and the far right are actually agreement in this case, for different reasons. And so it's only a matter of time before the anti-Semitism sword will be on, the right's neck, in this case. So it's a little bit concerning, but they have been pretty harsh on the whole anti-Semitism, mostly in Florida, because that's where Pam Bondi originates, and she is very, very against anti-Semitism in a lot of ways. But it's not the first actions. he's going a little bit too far in that case, but he's coming from the right place. Unfortunately, once again, broken clocks right twice a day doesn't actually mean. It feels weird agreeing with the sun in this case, but here I am.
It's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy that one of the biggest pro-Israel IDF donors went and fucking purchased TikTok specifically because he wanted to make it pro-Israel, and that every single person that played a role, every single politician that played a role in the sale of TikTok openly said they were selling TikTok because they were scared that people were becoming too anti-fucking Israel.
This is also true. I also covered this. I had a video about it, but I think it got lost in the void with the wipe of the channel. I know I covered it on stream, the sale of TikTok and how it was very connected to that Middle Eastern country across the sea. So he is right.
Every single person that refuses to acknowledge that tries to disparage, that tries to fucking disparage people for calling this out, that tries to deflect attention away from this issue is a fucking monstrous liar that is only invested in Israel and nothing else.
But this is where we're gonna have to be disagreeing here. Like, I'm not a big fan of Israel. Okay, like I'm not exactly happy that my tax dollars is going to support them, giving them welfare and weapons and a whole bunch of stuff so they can have the easy life. Meanwhile, white Americans can't actually have a job, they can't have kids, they can't have a house. Trump wants housing prices to actually go up instead of down. Meanwhile, Israel is living free and and quite happy over there, sucking off from America. It doesn't. I hate it. I absolutely fucking hate it that we are funding them as much as we are. I hate how much influence they have over our politics. But I'm still gonna support ICE because while I don't like Israel, I don't like illegals in my country. I don't like foreigners in general in my country. I want illegals and legals gone. Like, if you come after 1965, and you're not European, get the fuck out. Like, that's my stance. You can hold both positions, without and being pro-Palestine. Because also, fuck Palestine. I don't support Palestine either. Like, I only care about America first and only, basically, in this case. So, not in this case, actually, just across the board. And so, therefore, I'm still going to support ICE, even if it does have the Palantir connections, just because it's the only, like, what else am I supposed to support here? Like, they're going after illegals. Right now, they're doing targeted attacks against the worst of the worst, which is great, though I feel like we've been duped over the mass deportations, but that's a whole different story in that case. But I still support it. But everything he said here is correct, and minus the whole anti-ICE sentiment and being pro-Palestine. Though I do find it funny that this is what gets him banned, not abusing his dog on stream or openly calling for violence multiple times, like openly talking about having blood on the streets and a bunch of other crazy shit. But no, calling them anti-Zionist pigs is what got him. Which also, how do people figure out that this is what gets him banned? I'm kind of curious about this stuff because usually Twitch doesn't say what gets you banned for whatever the reason it is. So like, I'm assuming this is the only thing different that he's haven't said before. But like, I feel like I've known he's got anti-Israel sentiment for a while because he's pro-Palestine. So I don't know how the people figured this out, but that seems to be the case. It's a shame both sides can't lose. Yes, that's how I feel. The fact that AIPAC exists is kind of terrifying, yes, and it funds like every single politician, especially on the right. Like, it's absolutely infuriating. I can't fucking stand it. It brings me no joy in that case, like, at all. But we also still need ICE. Would Hassan's brain break if ICE supported an Israeli illegal alien? Probably. Though, honestly, I don't see ICE actually doing it. But, probably. Yeah, they'll maybe deport 50% of the people that came in the Biden era, even if that, yeah, it's mass deportations aren't happening. Not the black pill, right? But I'm kind of black pilling right now, but mass deportations are not happening under Trump's term. A lot at the moment. Wait, is that Palantir right there? Hold on, wait a second. I don't know the acronyms for business and finance because I don't pay attention to it. But that looks like Palantir's acronym. Oh my god. It is! Palantir shares dipped 1% ahead of key earnings report. I don't know what that means. Analysts expect Palantir to report fourth quarter revenue near 1.3 billion, up 62% from last year. Wow, I wonder why. Building on 9 straight quarters of accelerated growth and expanding margins. Bulls-like investor Tom Nash viewed the recent dip as a prime buying amid big deals, such as a $448 million Navy contract in partnership with NVIDIA Snowflake. What the fuck, Snowflake? Statistics highlight the stock's premium valuation at nearly 395 billion. Market cap trading at 550 times projected 2027 revenue, with options pricing 11 to 12 posts are swing. None of that makes sense. I don't understand stocks. I don't understand numbers. The only thing I understand is that number went up 62%. So obviously they're doing pretty well. Which, seeing that they got a bunch of government contracts as soon as Trump came in, I'm not that surprised. But still. Fucking hell. I just find it ironic that I'm talking about Palantir, and that's within my recommended thing. Twitter is listening to me. Palantir quarter 4 deal activity was fire, this thing says. This is probably some sort of like bot post or whatever the case is. I shouldn't call it bot post. The bot allegations thrown around way too much, but when somebody makes when there's a bunch of emojis and like a bunch of like breaks and with paragraphs and like all this fun stuff, usually it's a sign that's a bot or some fucking chill account essentially. So, but I don't know what stocks are. Here's a list of deals you need to know before Monday's earnings. 200 million? With Lumen, support AI complex multi-cloud environments. 100 million sold contracts from the IRS. 44 million deal with the US Navy to provide ship OS. God, Firefox is lagging again. NVIDIA partnership to operationalize AI. Teton Ridge partnership in collaboration with Twig AI and NVIDIA. DGSI France Intelligence multi-year renewal with the DGSI. AIG expansion into access portfolio risk. P.E.P.E partnership to deliver outcomes to shared military customers. Accenture extension by forming the Accenture Palantir Business Group. What the fuck's that? Snowflake partnership with Integrate AI Data Cloud and with Foundry and AIP. U.S. Department of Energy agreement to advance Genesis mission. North Slope expansion. What is all this stuff? Accenture partnership to accelerate defense acquisition. PwC UK multi-year partnership. FTAI aviation multi-year partnership to reduce manufacturing costs. Multiverse partnership to launch NHS FDP apprenticeship program. Dubai Holdings partnership to launch Aether JV. Dagwell partnership to launch a new AI marketing platform built on Foundry. Valoriza partnerships environmental services. One MedNet partnership to enhance healthcare AI. Will these deals make Palantir smash the estimates? Probably. Probably. I don't know what all this means, but it sounds good for Palantir and bad for the West. Like, sorry. So, like, what? All I'm hearing from this, even if I don't understand half the words here, is that Palantir's expanding, and obviously it's got a lot of deals with the US government, which I already knew about, but it's also getting deals with European governments like France, Britain, and Spain, as well as Dubai. I know Dubai's not European, but it's mentioned there. So, and doing like other things too. So clearly they're doing very well for themselves and being integrated in lots of military aspects, which I'm not surprised because Palantir's big thing is military focus and AI. So yeah, I guess other than gold and silver, so apparently that's going up crazy. Put your stocks in Palantir, I guess. I don't know. Don't take financial advice from an anime woman who doesn't understand what she's reading at the moment. But all I've been hearing is gold and silver. Or like I saw the graph for gold reaching like what 500 or something like that. Was it? And somebody compared it to the inflation rates of Weimar Germany's. I forget what their dollars were called. Whatever the currency was called at the time, and it lines up like perfectly. And I'm just like, oh. Good things are happening. Good things are clearly happening, aren't they? Silver dropped like $20 today. The fact that it's still super expensive does, I mean, to me tells me that it's probably fine. So, but I don't know stocks, I don't know investing. Like, I know you guys told me to buy silver, but then I look at the prices of silver and me like, I can't afford that, right? That's the problem with investing in general, is that it's really expensive to get into. Like, you already have to have the money to invest. And I don't have that. So, like... and this is a process here. I'm not against it, but each passing day that I wait to save money so I can start investing, it gets more and more expensive, and it's just one of those like catch-22 things. So buy low, sell high, a dollar cost average. Yeah, exactly. Right, and right now it's going up, so it's kind of hard to buy when it's going up. Don't buy anything on an upswing, buy when it's low. Yeah, so I mean, if it drops $20, I guess maybe now is the time to buy. I don't know how that works. So I just bought my funeral plot. Lol. Christos, what? What? Why? I mean, I know you're like twice my age, no offense, but please don't die. I mean, it's probably a good thing to actually, you know, think long term, which is a good thing to do, but like, that's depressing. That's not the invested that we're talking about here. We're talking about gold and silver and Palantir, not funeral plots. Yeah. I hope it's a good spot, at least. So. I gotta blow my nose again. Give me a second. Okay. I know I kind of got way off topic. Not like anybody really cares about Assad. I just find it funny that this is why he got it. Like, then he's crashing. He's been crashing out on Twitter, all night. Israel's censorship regime. Department of Homeland Security has a list of American domestic terrorist cells that they'll surveil on the basis of their anti-Israel and anti-ICE activism. If you cover it, you get banned for frivolous rules that ADL will establish ahead of time. Israelis will make people love Israel. Once again, not to agree with the broken clock, but he is right. He is correct here. So, and it sucks. It fucking sucks. This is one thing the right can't agree with the left on, or at least the far right and the far left in this case. But at least over the ADL. So, and it's definitely not gonna make more people love Israel, that's for sure. Just funny watching him crash out. It's Jewish censorship, not just Israel, but you'll never go there. I won't go there because I'm not a fucking moron, and it's not about Judaism, no matter how hard you, Jonathan Greenblatt, and Mark Levinon claim it's tied. Get your booger-eating, bicurious Mexican Nazi ass out of here! And go sell more Epstein hoodies, little man. I'm sorry, this is funny. See, like, normally I don't care about internet drama, but this is funny. Booger eating bi-curious Mexican Nazi ass. I liked how he uses bi-curious and Mexican as an insult. Like obviously Nazi is to be completely expected, but you think somebody on the far left like him that's like pro LGBTQ plus and, you know, alphabet soup, you know, pro brownoid mixing, you know, hates white people, would not use being bisexual and Mexican as an insult? But he does. I think I know why he does, because it's the fact that, like, it's an attack. It's a right-leaning attack on him to piss off Fuentes fan base in particular. So, like, by mentioning that he's bisexual and Mexican was like is more of an attack on Fuentes himself as his fan base, and that pisses them off more than his son actually caring about it. At least I think. Or his son actually genuinely hates Mexicans. It's also possible because all the Browns hate each other. which is understandable because I hate the Browns too. So, oh, so, but just I like watching shit fling. Oh fuck me. Oh, this is unrelated to Hassan. Like I didn't have that many tabs about him. This is just I have a whole bunch of like random tabs here, just in general about different things. At hand. So, is right versus left is false framing. It has been far left versus center left. Yeah, I mean, I guess. In a lot of ways, you're right, but in a lot of ways, you're wrong too, because you have to think it from the normie perspective. Like, there are two perspectives at hand here. There is the where we're at, whatever fucking where we are on the right. And I know not everybody agrees with me on different things. That's a good thing. You shouldn't always agree with me with everything. But you know, for generalizations purposes, wherever we are on the right. Because on one hand, you can make the argument that we're far right. On the other hand, you can make the argument that we are actually center, depending on where you stand. And those go back to the two different perspectives here. For normies, it's far right because nationalism has been completely considered far right. Thanks to the funny mustache man being completely demonized for the past 80 years. And everybody's an ethno-nationalist for their home country except for basically white countries within the Western world. And that's a far right talking point these days. Now it's being slowly shifted over into the center as the overtone window is shifting and we're pushing for it, but it's still for most normies considered far right. However, go back 80 years ago, before the funny mustache man, this was normal. Completely normal. This has been the politics for the entirety of human history, is ethno-nationalism. So, you can make the argument that's actually center. And that's my argument, personally, because that's how the natural state of things is supposed to be. But normies don't see it that way. And so, you have to package it differently depending on who you're selling it to. And not like I'm really trying to appeal to normies here, but I still use the economy framework because that's where the majority lie anyways. And apparently I can influence people and change people's minds. I don't know how. Why is a random anime woman changing your mind? No offense, but still, it's crazy. I've had like 3 or 4 people tell me that yes, my arguments have made them realize how bad things are getting and changed their minds and have made them more extreme. I'm sitting here like, is this a good thing? I mean, on one hand I think it's a good thing because it's like, you know, obviously more people that support my beliefs is great. But on the other hand, I'm just like, huh? I is damn right, everyone else is far wrong. Exactly. So, what normies consider center gets accomplished, anything more requires massive authoritarianism? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, more and more normies are waking up as time passes, and once the normies accept things, then it'll become easier to accomplish without as much authoritarianism. Well, to a certain extent. Like, we're not gonna get mass deportations without authoritarianism, unfortunately. But it's one of those, you know, necessary evils. In that case. But I think it will come to pass eventually. COVID was I say COVID, but I mean 2020 in general was a huge wake-up call for a lot of people. For how bad the government is and how bad things are getting between COVID, Black Lives Matter, and the whole trans going after children thing. Those 3 things combined within a short time period of between like 2020 to 2022, 2023 was a fucking powder keg for most normies. So, has it made them go far enough? Not yet. But this is why Trump does have technically the will of the people if he were to actually accept it. Everyone's authoritarian about what they want. Most just want to admit it. Yes, exactly. Like, people, even though people won't admit it, everyone secretly or subconsciously understands power is the only thing that gets things done. And whoever wields the power is the one who's gonna get whatever they want done. That simple. It's just that simple. Whoever has the power will get whatever their cause done if they actually utilize it. The left completely understands it. You hear them talking about it all the time. When we get back in the power, we're gonna throw your asses in jail. You know, we're gonna make your lives living pain all over again, worse than what we did under Biden. They say that all the fucking time. Even Hassan has said it all the time. Like, they're very open about this stuff. And if the right doesn't get their shit to fucking together, it will eventually come to pass. I don't see the left winning in 2028 when it comes to actual elections without a massive amount of fortification, but it will eventually happen in due time, because they will regain their power. They'll make the pendulum swing again. They'll commit, they'll do fortification, whatever is necessary to get it back. And who knows, maybe they will do it anyways. Like, if they're trying to hide under the pretense of voting, they're not going to win in 2028. Because they don't actually have a candidate to throw up there. If they're going to throw voting out the window just to get the power again, then, well, things will get a little bit spicy. That'll be a different story. So, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. I think what changes minds is helping people realize the end result of many leftist ideas without using hyperbole. Also, stat changes are a hard pill for people to take. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I've really been helping much when it comes to the end result of many lefty ideas without using hyperbole. I don't think I do that. I don't think I do. Like, I feel like that's what other people do. However, I do talk about statistics a lot, which is ironic seeing that I'm not really good with numbers in this type of deal, but at least I can understand how a graph works. So at least I have 95 IQ for that. And I like to show them on screen because it is quite like upsetting looking at how much things have declined as other things have gone up, like immigration and costs and different things. And there's a very clear correlation between them if you were like to overlay them. It's very clear. At least if you have like 95 IQ. And that's the thing that helps radicalize me in particular, is looking at the stark difference between what has happened, 10, 20, 30 years ago versus now. So, and then I like to show that. And then I guess radicalize others, because welcome to the club. Your far right Nazi VTuber is here. And the left will say we're fascists if we defend ourselves, so then we're afraid to defend ourselves because it'll prove them correct. Yes. That's part of the problem, right? Like, at least at this point, normies seem to not care about the whole Nazi, racist, fascist label. But they don't actually like it when you're actually racist. They don't actually like it when you're an actual Nazi. They don't like it when you're an actual fascist. And so that's what makes a lot of, at least people in power like Trump, scared to do anything. Because if he goes after Tim Walz, for example, for treason, which I know somebody in chat told me that legally he can't. I'm not the one who looked it up. I have a really fucking hard time believing that, so... But he can probably go after Walz for something, right? There has to be something he can go after Walz for. Well, he doesn't, because the Democrats immediately, within a millisecond, start screeching that he's going after political opponents. And then try to paint him as a horrible person. And just try to scare the normies off. And that's why he's not doing it. And that's one of the reasons why he's not doing it, I should say. And it's just frustrating, because it's like, you can just do things. So... Let me blow my nose again. Sorry, chat. I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. The left will say we're authoritarians and we defend ourselves, so then we're afraid to defend ourselves because they'll prove that correct. Did I read that out, or did you? Oh, you're just repeating what you said about fascists. Yes. Yeah, I know what you're doing here. Sorry. Paragraphs in chat gets my attention, and so I'm like, oh, paragraphs. Somebody has something smart to say, which is technically true. Not what you said was dumb. But in that case, but yeah, it's just like, oh my god, I saw this interaction on Twitter the other day, where someone was just like, we must crush them with our boots when we get back in the power, and it was just like, and it's just like, everyone's in a then somebody replied with, oh, you know, everyone's authoritarian for the cause that they believe in, right, or whatever the case is, and it's like, no, it's self-defense. It's like, well, what if somebody else uses authoritarianism as self-defense because your authoritarianism? It's like, no, mine's the correct one. Mine's reverting the wrongs. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there thinking, this is retarded. This is so retarded. I was just like, do I say something? No, I won't say anything. It's gonna start internet drama, and I don't want to deal with that. But it's just like, how can, like, fucking hell. See, this is a problem that I have with arguments in general. Like, this is why I'm the first one to capitulate usually when it comes to different things, because one side will attack, the other side will defend, and then the one who originated the attack will attack again and then claim it's self-defense for the other side that did self-defense. And they'll go back and forth like that until one capitulates and says, I quit. And it's just not worth it when it comes to, like, I don't know, like an argument, like a one-to-one argument in a lot of ways, because it's gonna go back and forth until, you know, either agreement's made, which almost never happens, or, like I said, one loses. And I just rather take the L than have to go play ping pong for eternity in that case. And I do that just across the board for most conflicts, because, like I said, it's just not worth it to me, wasting that energy. However, in the grand scheme of things, when we talk about authoritarianism, it's not capitulating, it's not the answer. Like, it'd be nice if we could compromise and come to an agreement. That's what democracy is actually supposed to be there for. Like, where they're supposed to, like, shake hands and be like, okay, and checks and balances, have a gentleman's agreement, and you know, laws written down, and we're all supposed to agree to them and work within the system, so that doesn't happen. But the left has long broken that agreement decades ago, and they have been actively propagating their campaign for decades now, once again. Since the end of World War II at the bare minimum. Technically can make the argument that it's been going on longer than that, but we're gonna use the end of World War II as the starting point, just because it's the easiest one. In that case. And the right has just not done anything about it because they're still trying to follow the rules and regulations because they're afraid if they retaliate, then it's gonna go back to a full-blown war where everyone plays tit for tat again. Which on one hand is understandable, because like I said, when it comes to personal conflicts, that's how I act. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth the fight. But when it comes to people's lives, politics, government, you know, how demographics are being, you know, completely ruined, and just everything's getting worse, you can't just roll over and accept the L. You have to actually do something about it. So yes, using authoritarianism for self-defense is justified, but they will fight back with their own authoritarianism and call for self-defense. They will justify it, and that's unfortunate. That's how it's going to be going until one side eventually wins. So whoever actually reuses the boot and crushes will win, and hopefully it's my fucking side. But obviously people like Hassan will be hoping for their side, and it's just going to be whoever wins. Whoever wins in that case, and God, I fucking hope it's mine. So, yeah, people often forget that laws are merely pieces of paper that are only effective and enforced through violence, yes, or at least the threat of violence. And like children, you have to actually follow through with your threats. If you do not follow through with your threats, then people just don't register it anymore, right? Like, it's the boy who cried wolf. If you say that you're going to, know, uh, no, punch somebody if they don't do something, and they don't do whatever you said they need to do, and you don't punch them, next time around when you threaten them again, they're not going to listen to you. And so you have to do something. And the right does not do anything. Of course. Of course. Yeah. None of that works inside a homogeneous society. We can argue and wake up more of our own, sure, but you're never gonna win over enough enemies to make it worth your time. Hashtag force doctrine. So, but it's unfortunate. And I will beat this drum until I'm blue in the face. I will beat the dead horse until it's just nothing but a bloody fucking pulp. Not even recognizable anymore. It could be a bunch of bodies of dead children. It could be a horse. It could be my own body. You'll never fucking know. But I will still beat it regardless. In that case. Thank you, Christos, for the $5 videos. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I keep hearing Bowden. What are the odds? I mean, you threw money at me, so that's a good incentive right there. It's okay, so I guess I'll admit it, but I am planning on doing the Bowden stream eventually. I say eventually, I just don't know when. Here, I'm kind of waiting for like a rainy day. Essentially, I guess today wouldn't be a bad day, all things considered. In this case, so, but I also really like Annoying and Sleepy. And the more he begs for it, the more I want to just push it off. I am planning on doing it, but like, you know, I don't like listening to femboys. However, you did throw $5 at me, so that is a stronger incentive. So she's waiting for a slow news day in these times. I mean, it still happens. It still happens. It also depends on my mood too, cause like, I don't know. I'm kind of getting tired of talking about politics a little bit. Like, I'm still gonna talk about them obviously, but I can feel the needing to breathe, needing to touch grass urge. Here in this case, because of different things, and it's just like, this case, at 54 minutes, are we gonna have time to get through this today? It's 4 o'clock. So today isn't a slow news day. Well, here's the thing about Friday streams is that I usually try to get topics the night before. And also, since it's early, I oversleep a lot. More than I really should, but I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. And they're shorter. I usually don't get too serious for Friday streams. It's kind of like, it really is a random yapping session that happens on Fridays. And then I kind of save any heavier topics for Saturday, because it's the next day anyways. So... But I don't know what's happened today since I woke up at 2:30 and I was supposed to stream at 2:30. So let's see. I know there's a whole bunch of Bowden stuff that you have in here. I had to scroll up in stream suggestions a bit. Maybe I should have probably pinned this. Like I said, I was planning on doing it eventually. Eventually is the key. Something like this is like evergreen. So I wasn't, yeah. I'm fine with more gaming streams over politics. Yeah, I guess there's also that factor. Here. More it's just me needing to touch grass. But it's kind of hard to touch grass when it's cold as fucking shit. And yeah. I mean, I don't mind the cold, but it's kind of hard to explore rivers and mountains and trees and valleys when it's like, I don't know, -5 or well, I don't know how cold it is. I guess it depends on where I'm going, but it's not even gonna be close to home because I don't live near anything cool. I have to drive quite a few hours to get to anything that's actually pretty and nice. So it's like a couple day trip if I want to actually go explore anything. Let's see here. And every time I do, it's a great and I thoroughly enjoy it and I come back a lot more refreshed. But once again, when it's cold as shit. Yeah. Where the fuck's the boat and shit in the air? I mean, it's taking me longer to scroll through this stuff because I have Discord minimized almost completely.
Is it the Jews?
I'm
assuming
but
it's always the Jews.
still. Let's see. Let's see here. That sucks. I have Woodward's just over yonder, but meh. Yeah, yeah, it's boring where I live. I have to drive. Okay, here's the Tyler Oliveira thing. Can I pass it already? I know Sleepy made a whole fucking tier list for Bowden shit. Aha! Oh my fucking god, how old is this thing? I found it. This was 15 days ago. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm gonna pin this real quick. Pinning. There we go. Oh yeah, pin it, baby. Woman, do you not know how the search function works? I forgot about the search function on Discord. I was just scrolling. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, there we go. There we go. 35 minutes. That's a much for this. Please be patient. She's a woman. Yeah, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? Fucking hell. Oh shit, thank you, Mahungi, for the, resubbing your membership over on Ko-Fi. Staying a happy little merchant there, which gets you access to the members-only streams. Actually, more than the members-only streams, right? Yeah, you get more than the members-only streams being happy merchant. That's right. You get special access to the Discord, where I post behind-the-scenes things, even though I haven't posted there in a month, but besides that, I should post there a bit more. It's fine. Probably should have posted the shot color there. Yeah, anyways, thank you regardless. Really, do you need to be shocked again? No, please don't shock me. Oh, look at that. A woman who didn't know any better were the odds. The thing is, I know about the search button. I just forgot about it. I was just scrolling. I don't listen. It's fine. Listen, I'm not through my gamer subs yet. Fine. And thank you, Squad Dude, for the $4 Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm on day 6 with no power restored. The fuck? We spent nearly 2,000 on a new generator and a Starlink. Here's my last $4 of the thanks for keeping me entertained. Dude. I mean, thanks for the $4 redos. I mean, and I'm glad I'm keeping you entertained. But please, penny pinch. Don't throw it at e-whores online. You okay on a new generator Starlink? Day 6 with no fucking power? Are you okay? Please do not die. I don't know where you live, but I'm assuming it's cold as fucking shit. Like, Jesus Christ, please don't die. I hope you get restored ASAP. And fuck. I've saw that like there are places that have the power lines that like just completely shattered and how cold it's gotten. And I don't know if that was AI or not. I kind of figured it was AI because like I was like, is that something that actually can happen? Like on one hand, I do believe it can happen, but I also don't know this kind of deal. I hope that's not actually true and you don't actually live in that area. But then again, day 6 with no power kind of lines up there. So please don't die. Please take care of yourself. And please penny pinch. So... oh, fuck. Man. I hope, please stay safe. Your privileges get nothing, lol. Exactly. It's not even the buyer's remorse tier. Well, okay. I need to actually post there. Like, I kind of stopped posting because I posted something there and nobody responded or reacted to it. And I was just like, oh, everyone hates me. Because I asked a question and nobody responded. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Well, then, I guess this is you. Like, nobody cares. And then I found out relatively recently, like a week ago, that apparently nobody saw it because something was wrong with the settings in Discord. And I didn't know that. Because, like, I posted stuff there before and people reacted to it and responded. So I was just like, okay then. But apparently something was wrong with the Discord settings and nobody actually saw the post there. So, yeah, I need to post there again. Because like I said, I just thought people just didn't care. So there's no reason to post because it was, I got, it did hurt my fifis a little bit. And so I was like, what's the point of posting and nobody cares? Oh, had a moment for nothing. Yes, actually. Yeah. Yeah, actually. So, this is what happens when I set things up. I was the one who set that section of the Discord server up. Usually Trium handles these things. And then he's the one who does like the Discord server stuff, but I was the one who did it. And like I said, I posted stuff there before and people reacted and talked about it. So I was like, okay then. So I don't know what happened. But apparently something happened, and then one day Trium was just like, you do realize that people can't see your messages there. And I was like, what? Okay then. So no way react to our next post. Yeah. Wow, I knew your attention whore, but holy shit. Hey, listen! Listen! Okay? Like, I feel like it's a normal reaction, right? When like it's like when you show a friend something and it's like, hey, look at this cool meme or whatever the case is, and then like, you know, here's something that I did and like I'm proud of, because I was actually kind of proud of it, not gonna lie. Because it was an art piece that I did and it was unfinished, but I was still pretty happy with it. And, you know, and then they ignore you. And it's like, okay, that hurts. That's basically what happened. I did it to myself. Oh. So, yeah. Great. A look at cool memes, shows photo with turned off screen. Yeah, that's essentially what happened. But that's actually basically what happened. So, anyways, since Christos did throw $5 for the Bowden, and people have been talking about Bowden because of fucking femboy, We will watch this. Hopefully it's nothing too spicy. I know nothing about this Bowden guy other than everyone keeps demanding for it because the femboy for the rally people. I'm assuming he sends them die pics, you know, but it is what it is. So here is Jonathan Bowden, Lancashire, September 7th, 2000. Apparently this guy's really good, so we'll watch this. Fuck's sake, Sleepy, she still thinks on you. He's the loudest one, okay? What can I say?
It gives me great pleasure now to introduce one of the best speakers on the nationalist circuit. Put your hands together for Mr. Jonathan Bowden. Right, well, thanks very much. I always talk about what's in the news, and I'd advise people not to necessarily believe everything they read on the site called UAF. Now, what's been going on in the world since I was up this way last? Well, Trevor Phillips has announced that he wants to change the constitution of this political party. Now, for those who don't know, Mr. Phillips is head of the Human Rights Commission, the Human Rights and Equality Commission, which is the successor body to the Commission for Racial Equality, or what in the late 1960s was the Race Relations Board. It's also merged with all sorts of other alleged oppressions in relation to gender, in relation to age to a degree, although that's been enforced by the European Union, in relation to homosexuality, in relation to transsexuality, or persons of transgender non-specificity. It's concerned with disability.
Interesting. These talking points were being brought up in 2009. Like I figured the homosexual stuff, gender stuff, okay, that all makes sense. But the tranny shit, that's actually kind of surprising in my opinion, because like I know a lot of the intersectional bullshit didn't get pushed until after the Wall Street protests, the Occupy Wall Street stuff that happened in 2010. And then like in 2012, that's when the leftist shit really started ramping up a lot, mostly on Tumblr, just about online spaces in general and colleges. Now granted, this stuff was already being taught in colleges even before this stuff, but it was been ramped up to like the 100th degree. And then by the time 2014 came around, that's when like Gamergate started, and Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, etc., happened. So this is in 2009, so before the Occupy Wall Street, and they're talking about trannies and shit. So, or sooner 2008 was GFC. Well, I know this when the crash happened in 2008. My knowledge on politics, and especially British politics, kind of fails when I was a kid, because I was in the single digits in 2009. I was still a wee lass, as we could say, as we're listening to the Brits here. I should say the English, and more specifically. And so my knowledge about that comes from what I've heard people that are older than me talk about, which I guess that makes sense for like all history in general. But like I don't know, there seems to be like a more of a specific gap for when I was more of a kid, because like it's recent enough in a lot of people's minds that they don't talk about it enough. We don't know the long-term effects of it, like we do for like the 60s, for example. Oh, but it's so recent to me with my age that I don't know enough about, because I didn't live through it. Like I did, but like I did it. I have turned to dust. You're welcome. Welcome. You guys are old.
It's concerned with all sorts of things. It receives £100 million a year, this organisation, of your money. And Brown says that he wants to cut the budget deficit, and he wants to reduce the overspend that he's spent to get us out of this recession, which he's been digging away for the last 10 to 12 years. And I think he could start with the Human Rights and Equality Commission. Get rid of them all. Starting with Mr. Phillips. Now, Mr. Phillips says he's not an extremist. But in his office, at his bureau in the middle of London, he's got a portrait of Karl Marx on his wall. So what is he saying by that? He's saying that he's in favour of militant equality, he's in favour of militant egalitarianism. But there are certain groups that he doesn't like. He doesn't like people who vote for this party. He doesn't like white working class people particularly in the north of England. But elsewhere will do. He doesn't care for anyone, irrespective of social background, who votes to the right of UKIP. He regards one of his jobs as preventing this party winning seats. And obviously he's having a bit of trouble in turn.
UKIP was around in 2009? I mean, that makes sense, once again. Because it usually takes quite a few years for political parties to actually gain power and influence when they're brand new. And so UKIP didn't just come out of the woodwork back in like 2018. Was it 2018? When did Sargon run for UKIP? Was it 2019? It was somewhere in there. Somewhere roughly in there. In that case. And like, so I knew UKIP was around technically before then, but I wasn't sure how old they were. As I know UKIP was just kind of like a basically anybody who's trying to get out of the EU in general, pushing Brexit, whatever party that was, kept on having to be reformed over and over and over again. So before UKIP, it was something else. I also know there was another party that Tommy Robinson was a part of that was considered evil and Nazis, even though they actually support Israel quite thoroughly. I forget what that was called. It has a different acronym. Oh. Brexit was 2015 and 2016? I thought it was after... It was after Trump's... after Trump, though. Because Trump was help influence Brexit. Because the British right... I say British right loosely, of course, got influenced and inspired by Trump winning in 2016. So it was after Trump that Brexit happened. So you're talking about the EDL, yes. The English Defense League, that's what it's called. But like it's also it's called the English Defense League, the EDL, but it's English and Israel Defense League is actually the full name. So
and bureaucratically for many reasons, one of which was the return of two British National Party members of the European Parliament in the last European elections, one for the northwest of England and one for Yorkshire and Humber. I'm very pleased to see the re-emergence of Mr. Andrew Bronze, who is the former chairman of an organisation called the National Front and has been involved in right-wing British politics for many decades. Now, Phillips and his clique are attempting to impose a constitution.
No, Brexit was before Trump. It just took years for it to happen. The vote was in summer 2016. Okay, well, apparently my memory... Well, no surprise, my memory is shot. I feel like that's common knowledge at this point. It was in summer 2016? Man, okay. My bad. My bad there. I just remember it. I just remember Sargon talking about it a lot and pushing for it. But he's also really... Well, he wasn't super pro-Trump in 2016. I remember him being a Bernie bro initially. But then Bernie got kicked out. And got fucked over by the DNC. And then because of Hillary, and then that basically went out the window. That was really fucking shitty. I'm not a Bernie bro, but how he got fucked over is I still don't support all these years later. They were fucking about it for years, trying not to do it. I do remember that part because I know they had multiple votes over and over and over again. Because they just refused to do it until UKIP finally rose and was just like, we're gonna fucking do it. Garage. And then the conservatives were like, oh fucking shit, the UKIP's gonna take us over. Finally. And so then Boris Johnson stepped in and be like, okay, fine, we'll complete Brexit. And then Farage bowed down and said, okay, conservatives, you can have the win. Because it would have been splitting the vote between UKIP and conservatives anyways. So it was, in a way, a smart move. Not to mention, knowing what I know about Farage now, he probably wouldn't have done anything either. But then Boris Johnson came in, didn't do fucking jack shit. And then after Boris Johnson, it was Theresa May. She didn't do jack shit. She made things worse. And then after Theresa May, it was... what's Liz Truss, I think it was after Theresa May? I think. And then after Liz Truss, who lasted a lettuce lasted longer than her. Which apparently she got fucked over. So I kind of feel bad for her. But at the same time, more proof that women should be in politics if she's that weak that a lettuce lasted longer than her. Then it was Rishi Sunak, and then Rishi Sunak basically continued the grave for the Conservatives until Labour won. So,
constitutional change on this party that will open the door, allegedly, to non-white members. Now, he's been planning this for a long time, and it was first mooted the better part of 4 to 5 years ago. Phillips himself is under a great deal of pressure because half of his executive board inside his bureaucratic group have resigned, and there's lots of scandals over where the money's gone and over management practice and so on within this particular institution. It has to be said that a lot of these people fight in these bureaus like rats in a sack, even though they're pathologically opposed to what this country once was, to a proportion of its indigenous population, and to what it might be again. There's no need for Phillips, there's no need for his bureaucracy, there's no need for the boards and committees out of which they came, there's no need for these politically correct laws, and there's no need to change this party's constitution, in my opinion. I believe the members should decide the constitution, and it's quite clear what they've decided hitherto. It is understandable that one of the reasons this sort of weapon has been fired at the party is to drag the party into the courts, is to entrammel it in legal procedure where only the lawyers win, where you rack up a case of 80,000 and then you get the costs against you because the case has been prior arranged so that you can't win. So a bear trip has been dug out in the sand and the gravel before you, and like an idiot, like the charge of the Light Brigade, you go straight down into it. So there's a degree to which it's quite obvious people want to tiptoe the around the side and not go down into that tiger trap and be embroiled in the nets. I personally think, though, that the case ought to be defended at least the first time round. I don't think you can just wave your hand in the air and say we're totally against it, whoops, we surrender. I think you've got to actually do something, even if you're forced to do it. Partly because you're seen then to be acting under distraint, you're seen to be pushed into it, you're seen not to fire your pop gun in non-anger and then sulk in the corner. So I think even if a senior party official defends it, which would obviate barristers and solicitors' costs on the defence side, and even if you then go down to defeat, you budget for the nature of that defeat and spread it over a certain time. I think that would be better, personally, than just sort of dropping dead as soon as Phillips waves his bit of paper in the air. But make no bones about it, the case, various laws have been passed by New Labour since they came in 97. There's probably been 8 through 10 acts which deal with militant equality of various sorts. There's a degree to which anyone who speaks in public or semi-public in relation to this meeting now has to make sure that anything they say is well within the remit of all the laws that have been passed. This is why the language that people use is, in my case anyway, is abstract to a degree, and it has to be.
okay, so apparently I get the order wrong. It was May before Boris, which does make sense because May made things horrible. Then that's which is why UKIP was trying to come in and actually do something, and Boris stepped in and tried to be like the British Trump, but he didn't do anything. And it was like, because they wouldn't accept no deal, like they had to make a deal. And then it was Liz Truss. Okay, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. Apparently not completely. No surprise there. I'm actually kind of surprised my memory is so wrong, since I actually watched it happen, literally. Man, I'm gonna be dementia patient before I turn 40 at this rate. However, one thing I also remember, though, hopefully I remember this correctly this time, was that in 97, as he's mentioning here with all these, like, egalitarian acts that are getting put in place by Labour, it's also when Tony Blair came in. And he's the one who basically pushed the majority of immigration. Obviously, people talk about the Boris wave a lot, and don't get me wrong, the Boris wave is abysmal, for how many brownways he's led into England. But Tony Blair was the one that really set in the cycle to let a bunch of fucking immigrants in the first place. technically they were also there beforehand. There was like in the 70s, there was a Pakistani rape gangs already occurring. This has been in the process for a while. But Tony Blair opened the floodgates a little bit, and then Boris Johnson opened them even further. So, you know, conservative labor, same fucking thing. And now reform is turning into conservative 2.0. Like, I've been talking about for like over a year now, talking about how like reform is turning into like a conservative light because of Farage and how weak he is. But now since they're allowing in everyone from the Conservative Party that are defecting like cooking lemmings here, it literally is conservative 2.0. Man, I really hope that whatever party Rupert Lowe makes, and it's not the advanced UK one with Ben Habib. I really hope they don't get in line together. That would be bad. But whatever party Rupert Lowe creates, and hopefully has Steve Laws and Super Historian in them, I hope it goes down well, because fuck reform, fuck Farage, fuck the British establishment. They're fucking ass.
The point of these laws is to prevent people speaking emotionally or from the heart about, rather than in any philosophical or an abstract or an intellectual or in a semi-intellectual way. Freedom of speech to intellectuals who have liberal opinions has been allowed. The point of these laws is to prevent, particularly, but not exclusively, indigenous working class people from saying the truth as they see it.
Sorry, I'm realizing the guy in the background is falling asleep. Like, this is the guy who introduced him 6 minutes ago, and he's already falling asleep. Which, I mean, I can't blame him. Speeches are pretty boring. Though everything this guy's saying so far, this Bowden guy, is saying is correct. And it's great that he's mentioned this in 2009. It's a shame that he probably was ignored as a small meeting. Nobody's actually caring about these issues because in 2009 it wasn't as apparent that the country was going downhill to most people. At least, maybe I'm misreading that because once again, I was in the single digits in 2009. So I don't know what the culture was like, but I know it wasn't as bad as it was in 2015, for example. So, there's that. Also, thank you, Kalergi for the $5 reduce over on Ko-Fi. Thank you. I'm all sharing sad stories at times. She showed her art or memes she thought were cool to a friend, but her friend didn't care to Libby, who never had any friends. And she wondered why we ignore her invisible post. Hey, look you. Excuse me.
About the way in which the country's changed around them in the last 40 to 50 years. This is why these laws have been introduced, the laws that created the Race Relations Board, the laws that portended the creation of the Commission for Racial Equality and its attended Commission for Sexual Equality, and this new hyper-ministry led by Phillips. In the old days, white elitist liberals used to lead these organisations. Lords and liberal peers, usually executive members of the Liberal Party, as it then was. Now, after Ousley, we have Phillips, and Phillips is under pressure because the British National Party has risen. Ousley, who was, of course, chairman of this commission, or the CRE that...
Did he say Oozaloo? Hold on, wait a second.
After Ousley, we have Phillips, and Phillips is under pressure because the British National Party has risen. Ousley, who was, of course, chairman...
Okay, I know he's not talking about Oozaloo the streamer. But I thought it was just a random name that he chose. Just like, I don't know, one of those like... one of those internet things, you know? Like people just like choose random names. Is Oozaloo an actual real person? Not the streamer. What? Now I want to look this up. Hold on, wait a second here. Because I am confused. Unless it's like a... Okay, the only that pops up is him. The streamer. Unless I'm mishearing him? Because Blue says usually? Okay. Maybe I'm mishearing him. As the only thing that's popping up on Google is just Oozaloo himself, the streamer. So, I don't know. Schizophrenic, sorry.
Of this commission, or the CRE that preceded it before Phillips, criticises Phillips because the British National Party has won elections, as if his remit is actually to stop one particular political party in the country. Phillips's remit is to impose equality in relation to alleged oppression and or quote-unquote discrimination in all areas of the society. But one of his prime textual down-in-the-basement targets is to make sure that parties that stand for a different set of values, such as prior patriotism, don't get anywhere. Now, the key test whenever the Conservatives win, and most media pundits think that Cameron will be leader in under a year, is whether they will sweep away all of this. And Margaret Thatcher and Michael Portillo in the late 1980s did actually have a few internal governmental policy papers about abolishing these quangos, which are anti-white, and anti-British, and anti-English, and anti-Welsh, and anti-Ulster-Irish, and anti-post-Irish in Britain, and anti-Scottish, and anti-white proletarian, and anti-bourgeois, and anti-heterosexual, and anti-disabled. You see, these are quite discriminatory bodies, even though they say that they're for love and justice and inclusion and tolerance, and they love everybody to death, and they dislike nobody at all. But if you actually look at them in a different way, and you cast the ideology that comes out of Phillips' bureaucracy in a different light, you realise that they have groups to which they're antagonistic, they have individuals drawn from those groups to which they're even more antagonistic, and they wish to deny such persons freedom of speech. Now, earlier in the 20th century, our fathers and grandfathers were told that they fought. They fought against Germany, they fought against fascism, they fought against Imperial Germany in the First War between 1914 and 18. You may have seen some of the very elderly veterans who are basically dying now. 93, 89, 96, 109, 106, 104. As these men went over the top in 1914-18, in Flanders Fields, at the Somme, at Passchendaele, at YAP and elsewhere, were they fighting for tolerance and inclusion? Were they fighting for Mr. Phillips to impose his bureaucratic remit upon future generations of this country? When men got out of their tanks and fried an egg on the side of it in the North African desert in the Second War, were they fighting for tolerance and inclusion? Were they fighting for Mr. Phillips to impose laws upon them here in the north of England and elsewhere to describe what they can say, even in private, even in a text message between friends, even in an office in the public or in the private sector? No, they weren't fighting for tolerance and inclusion. They were fighting for glory. They were fighting for this country. They were fighting for England and Britain. They were fighting for what their old rulers had told them about what the future would be like if they lost. They were fighting for a degree of racial and ethnic pride that was unstated, because the whole English conspectus was you didn't really go on about that because it was accepted as a norm to begin with, and therefore you didn't need to illustrate it too much because it was a given before you even started. They were
Holy fucking base. I mean, not that surprised because he was advertised to me. He was advertised like this. But he is way ahead of the time. Way ahead of the time, actually. Well, let me guess. He was considered, like, called a far-right Nazi back in 2009, right? The Brits in chat can tell me. And I guess the femboy, too, since he likes him so much. Because, like, this is basically today's talking points now that's more I say mainstream. Because normies haven't fully accepted it yet, so it's not officially mainstream. But more and more people are talking about it and waking up about this stuff. But in 2009, this was never heard of. Never fucking heard. In this case, I'm not sure how big the meeting is, how many people are actually listening to this speech. In this case, but it seems like it's in somebody's house. There's probably not a lot of people actually. And he's talking about everything that I talk about today, but I'm not the only one who talks about this stuff in general. But it's taking this long for it to become more popularized. To be more common thought, even if it's not officially mainstream. We're heading in that direction here. Which is great. I'm glad that we're at this point. But in 2009, it did not exist. So, is this guy still alive by chance? Like, I'm actually kind of curious what has happened to him, since I've never heard of him until the community started yelling at me to watch this guy. So, yep. I kind of like an English Bezmenov. Yeah, it seems like it. No, he died in 2012? He doesn't look that old. I mean, he's overweight. and he's very red in the face. But like that's that's kind of like a British to stereotype, right? Being chubby and red in the face here. So like I can see him dying of like a heart attack, but he looks like he's in his 40s. Like what did he die of actually? And that's like fortunate he died 3 years after this. Imagine, I'm curious to see what would have happened to him if he didn't die. Like would he be arrested? He will honestly more likely he'd be arrested. But would he actually would he be able to change the political landscape sooner if he didn't die? If he was already talking about this stuff in 2009. A couple weeks before he died, he was on Richard Spencer's Vanguard podcast. Interesting. I see people talking in chat about his Vanguard speech that I need to watch, and there are a lot of videos that was put in stream sessions to watch about this dude. This is just the first one I was supposed to watch. Uh in this case. And honestly, it's the one of the shorter ones. And so it was the other speech I posted. You posted a ton of them. So I don't know which one. I don't see one labeled Vanguard. I see Condre News speech to the Legionnaires. Yuko Mishima in World War II. Modernism's Denial of Reality by Bishop Williams. And Bowden is the first one to watch in the order of priority here. Case. Oh, there's hope for the future. Vanguardism. There it is. How long is this one? We're not gonna get to it today. Oh, 54. Yeah, we're definitely not getting that today. So he died of a heart attack, so it might be because of the weight. Oh, I called it. 14 years before he turned 50. Jesus. So he died at 49 of a heart attack. And he didn't even get the COVID vaccine. Yeah, it's honestly, I'm not surprised, but based off how he looks here. Like, I feel like all the signs are there that this would have been preventable. I mean, it sucks, but I kind of feel like it's obvious. So, but rest in peace. He seems like a good lad. I probably shouldn't call him lad when he died in 2009 when I was a single digits, and yeah, that's a anyways.
Fighting for the flags that were behind them. And many more maimed and injured on top of that core 800,000. And that's just in the first war. What did they die for? Did they die for a multicultural Britain? Did they die for a multi-ethnic Britain?
Holy
Did they die
days.
for a politically correct Britain? Did they die for 200,000 abortions a year? Did they die for the absence of the death penalty?
200,000 abortions a year is a statistic he just threw out there. Meanwhile, it's been recently updated to be close to almost 300,000. And I think 2023, the statistics just came out for how many abortions. It was like 270 some thousand abortions that have occurred. So in the past, a little bit less than 20 years. More like 15 years actually. It went up 70 some thousand, which is a lot actually, but at the same time, as morbid as it is, I am pleased that it's not higher because of how bad the politics have become in Britain and just the Western world in general, how bad feminism has become. Like, the fact that it only went up 70,000 in 15 years is impressive. Which I mean, it's still bad. It's still really, really bad and quite horrific when you think about it. If it's like 200,000 every single year, and it's been slowly going up in the past 15 years, that's literal millions that have been killed at this point. But at the same time, I expected it to be worse. Mostly white, by the way. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. I know we talked about this on Broken Crown the other day. Aiden brought up the fact that a good chunk of them should also be Indian too. And a few other like white cultures because they abort little girls at higher rates than boys. across the board because they always prioritize males over females, which obviously causes different problems in that case, which makes them hyper competitive, more, all that fun stuff that we're not going to get into right now. So she said a good chunk should also be Indian, but we don't actually know the demographic breakdown for the statistics, of that 270 some thousand have been aborted. But yes, majority is more than likely white, and that fucking sucks. But also not surprising. So,
Did they die for liberal left censorship that denies the rights even of a private conversation up to a certain perspective? Did they die for the right of men to marry each other and adopt children? Did they die for all of these things? Or did they actually fight for something different? I hazard the guess that they actually fought for a society that we had a proportion of, but which has now been dipped down to such a degree that even to mention it is incorrect, is transgressive, is anti-system, is mentally criminal, or treated largely as such. This society was once relatively free of drugs, never free of crime, but freer than it is now. Look at the centre of some of our cities like Birmingham and elsewhere, England's second city.
Birmingham, huh? Interesting. How bad is the Muslim population in Birmingham in 2009? I am curious to see what those statistics were.
In the centre of Handsworth, in the middle of Birmingham, criminal gangs control large parts of the economy there. There are two gangs in Handsworth, both Afro-Caribbean gangs. One's called the Johnson Crew, and the other's called the Burger Bar Boys. They're gangs. They have buildings in the centre of Handsworth. These aren't just lads sort of skulking around in car parks. They own property. They have criminal mafias. These things are developing in our cities, fueled by the drug economy. 1 in 4 youths between 16 and 25 is now unemployed. This country is technically bankrupt, despite the actual coin that seems to be still in people's pockets. Unemployment is 2.5 million, but will rise to 3 million by the turn of the year, beginning of the next. If you add in all the people who are claiming, all the people who don't want to work, all the people who are on the sick, all the people who've been miscalculated as to whether they're unemployed or not, don't forget Thatcher changed how you calculate unemployment 17 times. Between 79 and 90. And Major did nothing to change it, and Prescott and the others screamed and jumped up and down in the House of Commons, but they kept those statistical analyses when they came in 97. So unemployment is well over 3 million now. And don't forget, at least 1 million Polish people have gone back to Poland.
Thatcher changed unemployment 17 times? What is considered unemployment? Well, okay, there's like 3 questions I should be asking there. What did she change unemployment to be? And why did she change it 17 times? What was it considered in 2009? And it seems like it's implied to be the last time she changed it, the 17th time. That's what it is in 2009. And is it still a requirement today, in 2026? Like, what? Hold on. 17 times you changed the definition of unemployment. How is that possible? Shouldn't unemployment just be you don't have a job? I'm sure it's probably more than that. But how do you change it 17 times? Oh, what? Does it matter? I mean, to a certain extent, yes, because you need to know what state your population's in. If they don't have jobs, then it's a huge fucking problem because you can't actually do anything with the economy. They can't afford anything. They can't have housing. That's your population. That's your people being displaced in real time. Excuse me. Oh, it's just... What the fuck? I think Dragon changed the definition a lot, too. I have heard before, and I haven't looked into it this much, but I've heard that Reagan and Thatcher are actually really close. And they worked together a lot for the different issues during, the 80s. Which, they're kind of more in lockstep together for what to do. And helped basically, make Britain and America worse. They advertise themselves as conservative, or in this case, Reagan's case, Republican, but obviously things did not get better. Things got worse under the time period because there's a uniparty. Like, I don't believe in the uniparty in the sense that like they literally are the same thing. I believe in the uniparty in the sense that um basically the conservatives or the Republicans work as a heel for the left leaning parties, and so the left ones are more extreme and push things, and then the conservatives and Republicans act like the balancing act, but they don't actually try to revert anything that the Democrats have done or the left has done, I should say, just for generalization. They just kind of keep things the status quo and pretend that they're changing. They're trying to calm things down, but in reality, they allow the Democrats or the left to keep on pushing forward, and that's essentially what they did. So they had the same interests, yes, and they both kissed the ball. So they're gonna party in my eyes. There's a left hand puppet and a right hand puppet. That's the trick. Yes, essentially. So keep voting. Voting does matter to a small degree, especially when it comes to local elections. They can see, like in the case of Virginia. But never black pill. We gotta vote our way out of this. But it's a long process to vote our way out of this. How about that? So. Oh, thank you, Clarky, for the gifting the selfie puppy. Thank you for gifting that Ovan kick. Thank you.
So there's a degree to which there's a certain element of unemployment has sort of been farmed out. They came because of EU laws that permitted such travel by persons across European boundaries in the last couple of years when the economy was booming. But was it really booming? Or was it just a trash capitalist boom fueled by debt? You got up in the morning and there were 3 new credit cards on the map. 0%, buy now, worry later. After 6 months, the APR is 29.5%. Do you remember all those letters and all those cards? Everyone in this room is 55 grand in debt. That's our...
Interesting. I know Europe handles debt differently than Americans do. Because, like, credit card culture is so ingrained into us, and Reagan did start that. I know Britain has, unfortunately, followed closer to American politics in a lot of regards. I didn't realize they're also, in this case, and like I mentioned before about Reagan and Thatcher working together, almost in lockstep with each other. That, and based off what he said before, did Thatcher also start the credit card bullshit in Britain too? Because that would make sense. And now everyone's in debt and a slave to the system. So,
After the bailout, and in relation to the actual corporate debt, add up the Waitrose and the Debenham and the Co-op and the Tesco and the store cards and the debt that has been put in to save the banks, all of which crashed around a year ago, and we're all in debt to this degree. Now, Brown was lying recently when he said that the Tories will only cut and they will invest prior to a form of non-cut. Labour will cut 10% of all budgets after the election if they win, and they're not going to win. And the Tories will cut it deeper and harsher. But I think that these depressive times economically enable you to look at a wider and a broader picture. There's all sorts of things that could be cut in this society, aren't there?
In this
the
society.
Special hospitals cost $1 billion a year for large numbers of psychopaths and those who are the equivalent of the murderers of Baby P. Hang them and close these institutions. Get rid of every politically correct item on the governmental agenda at local level, multiple language translations at the regional and sub-parliamentary and devolved level, similar sorts of bureaucracies, Phillips's bureaucracy at a higher level. Get rid of all of the panoply of EU laws and regulation that restricts business, that denies the rights of English and British people to do what they want in their own country. Leave the European Union, which frees you from an enormous sort of forest of laws and which enables you to decide again who is British and who is not, who is English and who is not, who is patriotic and who is not, who is in favour of the country's development and who is not, who has the best interests of the society at heart and who in turn does not. Because the people who do not have the interests of this country at heart are running the BBC, are running the Labour government, are running the Commission for Human Equality. Some of them are running the NHS, some of them are running the Bank of England. Fewer of them are in our armed forces, which is why our armed forces are always on the other side of the world, always fighting other people's wars at the behest of the United States. Michael Portillo was asked in the 1990s, and he was Defence Minister, which is an important post in a Tory government to a degree, unlike a Labour government, what's our foreign policy? And he once replied, we don't have a foreign policy, it's decided for us by the United States. And the United States in particular, amongst many other initiatives all over the world, even though it's in radical decline, is obsessed with the fate of a particular society in the Middle East. And is determined that it must be defended at all costs. And we have had a war tangentially in Afghanistan and ruinously in Iraq.
Holy shit. Okay, he's just calling that out once again in 2009. Oh my god. This guy's amazing. Holy shit. I mean, that's... I kind of wish like, obviously, I'm... How do I phrase this, right? I'm the age that I'm the age of, right? I was born when I was born. It is what it is. I had to deal with the consequences of my parents having sex. Whatever, right? But I am very curious now of what the climate was like and how things were from 2009, like, in that time period. Let's say just like the 90s to like 2009 in general in Britain. To recognize how radical he is. I know for a fact he was considered extreme, literally to the T. In this case, just because of the climate today, and the past 10 years since I've been involved in politics, for these different things. But at the same time, like, to be calling out a particular country in the Middle East, as he likes to mention, in 2009 is this guy was aware. He had his ear to the ground and eyes in the sky, very noticing to levels never thought possible, especially for the time period. You guys are late to the party. Well, listen, in my defense, I'm in my early 20s. I'm a literal zoomer, okay? In my defense, I was still a wee lass, a small child when he was making this speech, okay? I was outside making mud pies and torturing frogs and, trying to run away and all that fun stuff, like, when he was making this speech in 2009. I was not paying attention to politics. I was a child. A literal child. As for everybody else that's older than me, well, that's a different story. I don't know. A lot of people were happy they put their head in the sand. Everything was fine until things got worse, Like, a lot of people are easily distracted. I mean, fuck, I'm easily distracted. Put Genshin in front of me and I'm happy for 8 days, weeks, months, years, literally, actually. So, like, it's... Until things get so bad that people are forced to notice they're not going to. And every once in a while you'll have people like canaries in a coal mine, like Bowden here. But if everything looks fine, it's easy to wave them away. So, do the Brits have someone like him today? Does Tommy Robinson count? Fuck no, Tommy Robinson doesn't fucking count. He is a literal psyop. Like, he is 100% pro small country in the Middle East, that like to wear tiny hats. He is any movement that he joins gets immediately psyoped. He's not trustworthy, which is a shame because I used to be a big fan of him back in the day before I knew about that stuff. And actually it wasn't until relatively recently that I learned about this stuff. Like around this time last year, after he got out of jail, and I was like, oh, it's great he got out of jail, and then I think it actually was Christos yelling at me, telling me that's not a good thing. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? And I looked into it more. I was like, oh, fuck. In that case. So that's my bad. But I think who would be the British equivalent? Probably Steve Laws is the only one that I can think of. I would, you know, obviously there's Rupert Lowe, and he's really good, but Steve Laws is the only one like is able to speak a bit more freely and more poignant because he's not actually a straight up politician. Rupert Lowe is. Rupert Lowe's already pretty spicy for being a politician, but Steve Laws is a little bit more open and honest about these different things. So, that's right, Traveler. Just keep looking at Husbandos, ignore Natlan. That's yeah. If we don't talk about Natlan, now it pissed me off. But that's I'm not gonna talk about Genshin during a boat and viewing right now.
In relation to a proportion of those measures, putting it as moderately as possible. And there are many who would like to attack Iran as a third option, as World War IV, as some people call it. And we will be dragged into these disputes and in...
Not to pause immediately, but him calling it World War IV, I feel like that's a criticism I can throw at him. Because one, what the fuck was World War III? And two, maybe I'm so tired of hearing the Beanie Man, Tim Pool constantly cry about Civil War, World War, and all this fun stuff in the modern age. But I feel like it's some things people say to, I don't want to say fearmonger, but they get a little bit more paranoid than what it is. And not saying I don't want to say he's completely wrong. I don't know the situation in the Middle East in 2009 exactly, because once again, I was a wee lass. All I know is about Afghanistan. Is something about it. I know the Brits fought with us, and then Generation Kill and all that fun things. Like, I know, like, kind of like that kind of baseline of stuff. No, Generation Kill's Iraq. Never mind, not Afghanistan. Sorry. They're all the same to me, okay? It's a desert shithole that the U.S. went in to defend Israel for, so it is what it is. Um, but I don't know. It feels like okay. Now you're probably going a bit too far because if you but like this is a very small minor criticism, but I figured I would throw it out there because yeah.
...into these wars on the tail end of American power. I don't need to tell you that America has changed a great deal. Since 1968-69, 70 million persons of colour have entered the United States.
Ew.
70 million. The election of Barack Obama isn't a strange fluke. He is representative of most American cities and what they have become. America is teetering on the bridge of not the second world, but the third world. When Obama became president, the CIA gave him a report. That report said that America will be in the third world by the end of this century, that China and India will be more important by 2050, and that there will be a nuclear war in the Middle East in the next 25 years on present trends. The CIA gets many things wrong and did not predict 9/11, but they did predict the war between Georgia and Russia a year ago, so they get the odd one right. If you throw enough darts at the board, you occasionally get a 180. You see what I mean?
How did you know about the CIA giving Obama this? I'm kind of curious what it not to like be like source actually source. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm kind of curious where he got this information because it sounds like Obama came in the year before the speech. Actually, less than that because it's September 17th, 2009. So Obama would have been sworn in January that year, right? So I'm curious on this stuff. Yeah. So nuclear war in the Middle East, 25 years. We're getting close to 25 years. I mean, it's not impossible, but debatable. However, America becoming the third world by the end of the century, that's definitely possible, seeing that half the country needs to be deported. I remember on a Broken Quran the other day, I kind of dropped that fucking Fanta Black pill on Aiden when I did the math on the amount of people that need to be deported, and she was like, "Oh fuck," and it was like, "Yeah, it's pretty bad." Like literally half the country in America needs to be deported at this rate. So, um, um, and it's sad. must be assuming World War III is baked into the cake, so Iran would be World War IV, maybe? I mean, like, I know, like, he makes all these good insights in the future, but he questions World War IV, like, it could never happen. I'm not saying it could never happen. It's just that, like, I'm curious where he is getting this thought process from, and I don't like people constantly crying Civil War and World War, because you're the boy that cried wolf. If you constantly make these allegations and hyping people up and being super paranoid about this stuff, nobody's gonna believe you when it actually happens. And it's frustrating. Like he's right about all this stuff, but he can be wrong. Like he's not infallible, right? He's not omnipresent. He's gonna get some things wrong from time to time. And for me, honestly, it's kind of a benefit because I don't like watching videos where I sit here and I just go agree. I like things I can commentate on, and the easiest things to commentate on is when somebody's wrong. And so, you know, it's like, well, here's an actual criticism I can levy against him, which is, I feel like, a reasonable criticism at the moment. You know, not saying it's impossible, but once again, where the fuck's World War III at? Hmm. Blackwater was willing to deport 500,000 a month. That's about as good as we're gonna get. Listen, 500,000 a month is already amazing. Because, like, if you do 500,000 times 12, which, let me get the calculator out because I'm too retarded for this shit. Like, let's see. Times 500,000, right? That's 6 million people in a year. Now, if we go by 4 years for one presidency, then you have, you know, 24 million people. That's a good fucking chunk. That's a good chunk right there, if we actually do it. That would help us significantly if we got rid of 24 million people within a 4-year time period. I would love that. Absolutely adore that. But alas, that's not happening. Because, well, Trump's not the final solution. Man, and then, I mean, fucking 24 million people gone in 4 years. That's not fucking paradise. I mean, we still need to times that by 4 again to get rid of 100 million people. So, you know, it's going to be a 12-year process. Sorry, 16-year process. Wait, what? Math hard. Sorry. 20-year process. Fine. Roughly within that time. Listen, math is hard, okay? I'm retarded. Don't listen to me about this stuff. Anyway, but I'm close enough. Close enough. Anyways, point remains. Paradise is achievable if we actually force. But alas, that's not happening.
But Obama is typical of what that country has become, and we are such an Americanized society now. Look around you, in the country and the culture as a whole, that what often goes there happens here. The gang culture, which I mentioned in Birmingham, proliferated in Los Angeles and other big cities in the United States, has come here after a lag of 10 to 20 years. Mass abortion.
To be fair, that's because of the brownification of England. Like, the Browns generally have the gang culture in general, whether that be the American blacks or the Middle Eastern people or, you know, whatever the case is, it's the brownification. So when you import the third world, you become the third world. In America's case, we eventually adapted the blacks, which is a mistake, but is what it is. And then we started importing other people from the third world on top of it, so it made things worse. But then Britain also started importing the third world, and then it became worse, so, you know.
Civil rights. Rights for minorities, sexual and otherwise. Partly an American prerequisite came here, although there were Western European tendencies in that regard simultaneously with the social and cultural revolutions of the 1960s. The pressure to conform to international bodies, such as the EU and the United Nations, and to push us in various ways, and deny nation-state sovereignty, so that we can't make independent decisions about our economy and about our military usage. This again imprisons us in various ways. Most liberals believe it's unthinkable to get out of these structures, unthinkable to think in another way about political reality. It's not unthinkable at all. But our people need the will to grasp it, the will not always to reach for the beer in front of them, the will to turn Sky Sports off for a moment, the will to wonder why Cameron and Clegg and Brown always sound the same and always say the same things. They're all in favour of these wars, they're all in favour of US power, They're all in favour of our troops being abroad on wars which are directly not in our ultimate self-interest. They're all in favour of membership of the EU. They're all in favour of bailing the banks out. They're all in favour of the economics that led to those bailouts. They're all in favour of mass immigration. Why? Because they're all liberals. And because liberalism is a system. Most people look at the box and they think, why are Labour and Tories so near? Why are they so close? Why does Brown occasionally make conservative remarks and Cameron wears a red tie and occasionally says he's a progressive? Why is this political transvestism going on as they sort of launch into each other and exchange garments? And you've got sort of Mandelson stood in between Brown and Cameron, exchanging even more garments because he wants to, you know? And people wonder, why are they there and why are they so similar? Why is the political tension that for previous generations between the red and the blue was very intense? Where's it all gone? And it's all gone and all been dissipated because they stand basically for the same thing. What everyone thinks of the Tories, can you imagine Sir Alec Douglas-Home, who was Tory leader the year I was born, in the early 1960s, being a member of United Against Fascism? Can you imagine that? He would think that they were persons who needed a wash.
I don't know who he's talking about, but that's way above my age range for sure this time. Once again, he's completely correct in this regards. Liberalism is the system, and it is a disease, and it's unfortunate. The only criticism I would have against it is globalism is the problem. He's blaming America for a lot of stuff, and I don't blame him for blaming America, because America is a good part of the problem. Like he has all rights to complain that Britain is becoming Americanized. And that is fair criticism, like I said, because Britain should be for the British. It should be British culture. More distinctly English culture with their tea and crumpets and the Big Ben and the telephone boxes. You know, the Irish, with their red hair, and the Scots with their, you know, their skirts and the bagpipes. You know, that kind of deal. And then the Welsh, whatever the Welsh have. I don't know what the Welsh have, sorry. No offense to the Welsh. So like the complaint about Americanization is completely valid, but it's globalism as a whole. It's America is obviously the world hegemon and the power here, and has a lot of influence, but the politicians are not bowing down simply because America has the power, or they're bowing down because they're all in agreement. They all want more power for themselves. They're all enriching themselves. Whether that, like, if we're gonna use more modern time references like George Soros, NGOs, the World Economic Forum, you know, the everything that we're already aware of, at least today. I don't know what the situation was like in 2009 and who were the people at that time pushing for these things. But I do know the World Economic Forum was around in 2009, and I do know there's other globalist organizations that existed too, and still exist to this day. It's not just America's fault. It is them all colluding together to enrich themselves. Because that's what they care about first and foremost. It's a kilt. Full offense, Crystals. No, I'm playing with you. It's okay. Skirts them fighting with Jamal. The two Brits in chat, not Brits, the Scots in chat. You're welcome. America's the heart of the power in the West, and because of that, everything else in the West subjected to what happens here and what we explore. Yes, like it's definitely a lot of it is America's fault, but they're not complaining about it. They're not resisting it. They can if they wanted to, and you know, I'm not. Maybe America would try to put the boot down a little bit, depending on the situation, but they're not because it benefits them too. So here we are. In this case, they're more than happy to let America be the military power. We're not trying to fight for it. Like, the EU's been trying to get their own military for as long as I can remember. Which I guess isn't much of a reference technically, but the EU's been trying to get a military for a very long time. But like they can't, and they're waiting for the next opportunity to be able to do so, and they're happy about everything. So, like, it's not gonna be a simple, easy fix, unfortunately. Um, I don't really see Europe as a vassal state. I know some Europeans do, and I know some Americans do. I just see it as America as the leader, but Europe as the because every organization has a leader, right? There always needs to be somebody in power, some sort of hierarchy there. But the European leaders fully support it, not the Europeans themselves, right? Not the individual civilians. There's a reason why Brexit was so popular. There's a reason why there's so support for the French version of Brexit, um, as well, Italian, etc., etc. And then they always just get pushed to the side because the elites don't actually want it. Globalism is the problem, and they use liberalism as their means to do so. America's the leader of it. But intersectionality technically came out of France in the 70s, thanks to French philosophers. It was sent back to America and repackaged into what we know today, but technically it's French origins. Once again, it's commies working together, globalists working together to create the system that we're in. His criticism of America is more valid since he seems to know about the Jays as opposed to Spoon, who knows the real problem. Well, he did mention the Middle East, a certain country in the Middle East, a while ago. So it kind of seems like he actually does know about the tiny hats. It's just that he didn't go that far during the speech for whatever reason. So it's and I disagreed with Spoon on the Broken Crown about, well, not specifically the vassal state issue, but more particularly that Germany and is cucked for not listen. Germany is better off not listening to America. When my argument was they're cucked either way, and in that case, because his argument was that it makes perfect sense for Germany to buy oil from and gas from Russia instead of America because it's cheaper and it's in the best interest of Germany, which is true and a solid point. My argument was the fact that, well, Germany did it to themselves because they purposely ruined their nuclear program, literally intentionally, and instead of falling back on it or go and buying nuclear power from France, which they were doing for a while, they made the trade deal with Russia, which makes sense. It is cheaper, but now they are crying about Russia attacking Ukraine and been doing those for years, and crying about China, and obviously Russia and China get along quite similarly, and but they keep on buying and supporting Russia anyway because they had the gas agreement because they got rid of their nuclear program. So either way, I see Germany as cucked. Like they'd be cucked if they went to America and bought the gas that was more expensive, but they're also cucked for going to Russia and complaining about it at the same time. Like Germany did it to itself. That's the problem here. It's not really America's fault. They did it to themselves. I guess I'm getting a little bit off topic here. But still, like, and you can also make the argument that America is the vassal state of Israel, which I would 100% agree with. And if America is the vassal state of Israel, and then Europe's the vassal state of America, it still goes back down to the certain country in the Middle East. So it's this is why I hate the whole America versus Europe fight that happens online. I feel like it's completely overstated, and the flames are being fueled completely unreasonably here. Trying to fight over who's the vassal state of who, America's evil, or Europe's cooked and cooked and so over bro. Like, I hate this stuff because it's the Western world in its entirety that's being ruined by a certain country in the Middle East. By the people in power that are more than happy to rich themselves because they're globalists, that are working together. Every single civilian, whether that be in America or in Europe, or Canada or Australia, is being fucked over by their own government because the governments are working and colluding together to ruin our lives. So fighting over who's the worst one, who's the most cooked, who's the vassal state's retarded, in my opinion. Get over yourselves. Once we actually solve the problem of the white genocide happening and the Great Replacement, then we can maybe talk about that stuff and figure things out, but right now that's not our highest priority here. So, yeah, like, I hate this. I hate this. But that's my opinion here. Oh, thank you, real life fake monkey, for the $1.49 for the soup sticker for the with the piano. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will still count that to the super chat goal on YouTube. For some reason, stickers don't count as super chats. I don't know why. I feel like they should, but it's YouTube being gay and wanting more money, but it is what it is. So I'll also count that regardless. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Are we gonna be able to finish this video before the end of stream? Debatable. I've been trying to hold my piss too for the end of stream, but I have a feeling we're gonna be going over today. So I'm gonna take a quick pee break and then we're gonna continue the video and then yeah. BRB. BRB. I'm back. Let's continue the video.
And when Douglas Hume, who was regarded as being very, quote-unquote, out of touch, was asked on the equivalent of Panorama in 1963, what do you think of the recent rise in unemployment? He said, raising a stick, he said, oh, well, there's room for a new gamekeeper on my estate. That was when the Tories were something different, weren't they, really? He was quite clearly living in another world to most of the people in this country, even in the early 1960s. But can you imagine him being, like Cameron, a member of United Against Fascism? I saw a few pictures at the Red, White and Blue, which happened in Derbyshire a couple of weeks back in this year, of United Against Fascism. And it's very odd. The first thing I noticed about them is a new generation has emerged. The second thing I noticed is that they were very small in number. The third thing I noticed was that they all had red flags massed together in their sort of paucity of numbers. And many of those flags have the hammer and sickle on them. The hammer and sickle, yes. We haven't seen that for a long time, have they? You know, and what does that stand for? Militant egalitarianism, the destruction of Western society, the death to everything that this country once stood for, the desecration of what people basically fought in both of those wars that I mentioned earlier. This is what the sort of communism that these people stand for is about. So when people look at these sorts of sites and listen to this sort of propaganda, they ought to remember that this is communist propaganda that is opposed to everything this country has ever stood for and has been and can be in the future. And these people are totally unrepresentative. As I sort of looked on the internet in a local library, I saw various transvestites and people in bondage gear and this sort of thing leaping about. I thought I'd put in Liza Minnelli's Cabaret by mistake, but in actual fact it was United Against Fascism down in Derbyshire, with the police looking tight-lipped, you know, as they sort of danced around them. And interestingly, there's the odd sort of quite believing Muslim in the crowd. Not many, but there were a few. What they make of these sorts of shenanigans, about which their religion is extraordinarily right-wing and intolerant, one doesn't know. They probably compartmentalise it and say it's all a sort of delinquent Western funfair that they're just observing from one side. But the truth of the matter is that, to be serious for a moment, we have a mass recession. We have mass unemployment. And where is the left? Where is the left? The left that represents the working man. The left that represents the British working class. The left that represents the international proletariat inside Britain in the 30s. They were in the streets. They were in the unions. They were thinking about how they could take power in the society. Every time you had an economic dip in the early 90s to a degree, in the early 80s under Thatcher, remember the right to work marches? Right to work. Many of the people on those marches never done a day's work in their life, you know, but they wanted the right to work, and they could mass tens of thousands in the streets. Where are they now? They're finished. The left has gone from history. The Soviet Union was an utter disaster. A genocidal disaster, and nobody, even radicals who are anti-system in the West, wants to touch them now. The only way in which they can be radical is to oppose us. Because the next 20 to 50 years will see the rise of the right in various forms all over the world, in all groups. What we have to make sure...
Well, he is right that the right has been rising in the past 25 to 30 years, as he mentioned. It is, what, 17 years since this speech. Holy fuck. Oh, that makes me feel old, even though I was a child when he made this speech. And it's you can already see it. So that he was right in this prediction. I am going to disagree with him though on the left being over. However, it seemed like they actually accomplished their goals with the whole right to work and everything that he mentioned there. They accomplished their goals, and so they're moving on to the next ones. Like, yes, they're becoming more radical, and they're doing their best to oppose people like Bowden during that time period and even now to this day. But that's because they want, like, he kind of briefly mentioned it, because they want complete power. So they got what they wanted, they got what they voted for, or paid for, and now they're moving on to the next positions to completely destroy society. They're still very active, they're still in power, they're still existing. Like, the communism still very much exists to this day. So I feel like that part of his prediction is wrong. Unless he's trying to say that liberalism itself is the left and communism, which I would actually agree with that. Because I am of the opinion that liberalism is just a stepping stone to communism. It was like liberalism, then socialism, then communism in that case. Now, I know there's going to be some people saying national flavor of socialism is pretty good. And that's a different topic for a different day, we could say. But when it comes to the left-wing version of it, the commie version of things, it's liberalism, socialism, and communism here. So he's like half right, his prediction, I think. Unless I'm misunderstanding him. He is right that the left has moved on from Soviet-style communism they've rebranded. Yeah, that's technically true. Obviously, they're using intersectionality, DEI, as their sword and their shield now. Race-based communism, gender-based communism, that kind of deal. So he's right in that regards. But you still see plenty of people talking with the hammer and sickle. Both, in their bios, in their handles, stickers on their cars, the flags in general, defending the Soviet Union, talking about how great Stalin was, and Lenin, different examples about that. Real communism never has been tried. So it's not as apparent as it was like back in like 2020, but they're still very much exist. So
sure is that the right that comes up in our society represents us and our values and our traditions, because we know who we are. We don't need laws to describe who we are. We don't need little a priori prejudicial statements which prevent us from saying what we are. We know who we are. Kipling once said, the English deep down know who they are, the English that only the English know. And we know what we are, we know what we've been capable of, we know what we can do again. Nearly all of our people agree with us in a subtle way, but they're afraid. They're afraid. Their establishment has betrayed them, and they wonder what to do. They feel helpless and bereft. An organisation like this has to lift people up. It has to give them strength and hope in their hearts. This country can be changed. Only the democratic ballot box can do it. The next census will reveal that the country's only 80% indigenous now. But many of the people who've come in could go out economically as quickly as they arrived. Things are going to change in the next 25 to 50 years very radically. Ecological damage, economic stress, the collapse of versions of capitalism without the left as a safety net and an alternative. We're going to see benefits cut in the next couple of years. We're going to see the easy years, if they were easy, and they weren't for many, in the 60s and 70s go. The idea that there are jobs to be had is going. There's 200 apply for every McDonald's job now. That's a job paying $5.65 to flip over an American burger that makes you obese and die of a coronary before you're 60. And 200 are applying for each of those jobs. And probably about a quarter of them aren't European. So there's underneath the surface of Sky News and Happy Clappy and Amy Winehouse snorting drugs, under the surface of that, there's a great tension in this society. And there's a great sense of foreboding. Deep polling by the BBC thinks that many people are deeply worried that there'll be conflict in this culture, worried that there's no one to lead them, worried about the collapse of our identity in various forms, and we are in considerable collapse. You don't have to go around many of our cities. You notice the decay in the infrastructure, you notice the amounts of blatant criminality. Where are the police? Do you see the police as they drive around in their cars and they fly over cities in their numbered helicopters? They're all dressed in yellow now, so you can see them from a distance, but they're firemen. They come at the end. They come after it's kicked off. They get out of the wagon when people are lying on the ground. They come at the end, not at the beginning. They're just to put it out and dampen it down. They see their remit as partly preventing inter-community tension rather than solving crime and dealing with some of the gangs that I've talked about proliferating in inner Birmingham and elsewhere.
Everything you're saying still applies today, except but now it's even worse. Where more people are being arrested for their internet posts than the actual, like, you know, rape gangs and everything else in between. So things have just gotten far, far worse. Far, far fucking worse. Like that one viral image of the two female police officers. One's a cute a blonde chick and the other one's a Muslim bitch wearing the whole hijab, coming to arrest somebody for their internet posts, the dot crimes. Things have just gotten so much fucking worse, but he's completely correct. Oh, completely fucking correct. Also, thank you, Phalanges Anglo, for the $2. Thank you for that over on Ko-Fi. Sorry, I'm behind on that. My apologies. I was actually the first to bring up Bowden and want you to watch him since the last server, even before Sleepy knew of him. It took Sleepy's willing for you to get there. Well, at least we got there anyway. Hope you enjoy this and his other speeches in memory, Bowden lads. I'm sorry. It's not just Sleepy. Sleepy knows how to rally the community to get me to do shit. It's actually kind of annoying. In a good way, obviously. As if you guys want me to do something, then I will capitulate. I am a simple whore. What can I say? But I'm sorry. You know, I'm still gonna credit Sleepy though.
So this country's in trouble. And Cameron has no solutions at all. He will cut public expenditure, and because they don't like spending money, the Tories will be a little bit more honest about that. But they will invest in wars like the coming one that might occur over Iran, and the one that's already petering out into oblivion and defeat, like the one in the 1890s before it in Afghanistan. He says he's against the European Union, but will you have a vote on any of these treaties? At the last election, Brown said he would give us a vote on that constitution, and he's completely reneged. So yet another lie from the man who said he would be straight. Do you remember when he came in? He said, look at me, he said, I'm Gordon Brown, and I know the way he speaks, and I'm going to be sincere with you, with his head on one side. You know? Every time I see Gordon Brown...
Okay, that's bullshit. Okay, oh, fuck. Okay, gonna have to do some readjustments there. Thank you, Alex and Rob, for the, well, it's $5 dues in American Freedom dollars, but it's 25 whatever RON means. And apparently, this is considered 20, if the number is 25, the shot color registers that as to be shocked. I feel gypped. I have been gypped by StreamerBot. uh, Fucking hell. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some readjustments then, because I'm not being shot for $5. No, thank you. No, thank you. Not in American freedom dollars, okay? I'm sorry, it's 25 from whatever foreign currency you are, but I'm not being shot for $5. Fucking hell. But thank you regardless for that. I know you didn't intend it, because I know it wasn't done on purpose. But still, thank you for the $5 dues. Opinion just arrived. No idea what yapping about. Opinion on P.E.P.E. leaked video. Add link and comments. We're just doing a react video to Bowden because the community really wanted this to happen. He's a really base dude, but he's dead, unfortunately. I don't know what you mean by a P.E.P.E. leaked video. I don't talk VTuber drama. Like, I specifically avoid VTubers. I'll mention VTubers that I'm friends with or I'll like in passing. Like, but I don't talk VTuber drama, so whatever you're referring to in this case, I don't care. Because it is what it is. I'll rate other VTubers like P.E.P.E., obviously, because, you know, I know a lot of people enjoy her. But, like, I don't talk about this shit. So... No offense, thank you for the $5 videos regardless. So 25 in fucking shock currency, apparently. But... Yeah. So, that's a great deal in this economy. Fuck you! Fuck you. I don't want to turn it off. No, I'll fix this later. Oh, thank you, Hex, for gifting a subby bubby over to Rumble. Thank you. Somebody join over on Rumble and grab it. Because I can tell that, I can tell nobody's grabbed it because there's not enough people on Rumble. Somebody go over on Rumble and grab it. It'd be useful for the Rumble-only streams. I do this once a month. Excuse me. But regardless, thank you for the subby bubby. Thank you. There, $5 sub is better ratio payout. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Fucking hell. Let's try to finish this. We have 10 minutes left.
He looks older. One eye's up here, one eye's down here. The hair gets whiter and greyer. The chins get more pulled to the left. He looks sadder and more alone, doesn't he? Every time you see him, you know he's a man in decline. New Labour has had it. Old Labour died before 97 and New Labour's now in the dustbin. New Labour's probably as hated now as Major was in 97. But our people have got to stop moaning and switching from group to group and hoping that somebody new and cheesy like Blair, back 10 years, will sort it out for them. They've got to choose something new. They've got to choose something radical. They've got to cease being afraid. You say to people, oh, will you vote for this party over there? And they say, oh, no. They're extreme. I didn't like what I read about them in the Daily Mirror. I didn't like about this remark that this chap made about historical events that are 60 years old. I'm worried. I want to go and sit on the toilet. You know? A lot of our people, unfortunately, are like this. The spirit of the sort of egg frying on the sort of North African tank in the 8th Army in the early 40s has unfortunately receded a bit. But deep down, it's because the English and the British have been betrayed. They've always wanted to moan a bit, but otherwise trust their leaders, and they realise now they can't trust their leaders. If this country is to have any future, and we are not to slide into the second and then into the third world over this century, we have a choice to make. And we have to find a new ruling group, drawn from the body of the population, people who don't just get into Parliament so they can cheat on expenses the first day they're in there, because they've been cheating in with those expenses for 30 to 50 years. Thatcher introduced those changes in the about 25 to 27 to 30 years ago. When Michael Foot was asked about pay, remember Michael Foot? duffel-coated at the cenotaph and that sort of thing, picking his nose, that sort of thing. But when Foot was in and Labour politicians said, I need a bigger salary, he said, oh, don't bother about that, just claim it on expenses. So they doubled up their pay on the expenses. And in comparison to the cheating over money that goes on in the City of London, that parliamentary cheating is actually small beer. It's their resentment over that and those sorts of things that leads them to behave in that way. So there's a total disconnect now between the ruling group and the masses. And the masses have got to serve some stomach for once. And they've got to be prepared to vote for radical people who will clear out New Labour, clear them out. Here in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west, outside England, within Britain and elsewhere. Clear them out. And the Tories will...
Radical problems need radical solutions. Weimar problems need Weimar solutions. That's the state that we're in. It sucks that we got to this point, but it's 100% true. It was true in 2009, and it's true here in 2026. And at least seems like the momentum is heading in that direction, which is a good sign. But it's still, we're still not fully there. We are still not fully there, unfortunately. But it's not gonna be easy. And so no matter how much we black pill, we must never give up, because if Bowden was talking to a small group of people in somebody's random house in 2009 about these issues, and this was a very, like I said, small group, nobody, knew about him. I mean, I'm sure some people within these circles knew about him, but, like, he was nowhere near being mainstream. I didn't know about him until, community pushed me about him. Like, very lesser known, you know what I mean? A microcosm when it comes to these issues in 2009. And here we are, little less than 20 years later.
No, do no good.
Fuck. Okay. Well, thank you, Alex and Rub, for 50 for repair whatever fucking that is in goddamn foreign currency here. Damn it, that's only $10 for a stronger shock. God, I need to fix this ASAP. One stream is over. I'm just trying to get through the video here. Fucking hell. It's not VTuber drama, just an edit of Saddam where P.E.P.E. talks about how she's a benevolent imperialist and nor the third Kirsha genocide. Also put link under this, the 50 Romanian New Leon. You can't put links in chat. There's the bots against that. But I mean, I guess it's not VTuber drama. But I still don't usually touch VTubers in general. Like, I'll talk about my friends more particularly. Like, I talk about Oko's stuff a lot because I'm friends with him, or like Lum Lum. But like, I don't know. I usually don't try to get into the weeds about that stuff unless it's important. Like when Kirsha was being canceled last year, thanks to the anal violence. Like, I mean, I said something about it then. And let's see, what else have I mentioned? I mean, I bring up Leaflet from time to time, but I rate her a lot. So, but like, I don't know. I don't know. I appreciate the dollar like those, but I try to not get involved with that stuff, if that makes any sense. So, okay, Romanian stuff. Here. Oh, thank you, Zamfir, for celebrating your Subby Bobby for 3 months now. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yo, greetings from Gypsy Country from what I saw while everyone seems to be busy over there with Mr. Petty Milner. The Pentagon's preparing for the next conflict with Iran. Also, Ron's Romanian currency. Okay, so I'm literally being gypped. When I said I was being gypped, I said as a joke, but I'm quite literally being gypped in real time thanks to this. Holy shit. Okay, I'm not expecting that to be on the dot like that. I will talk about Iran when Iran happens. I do not understand military, but I understand things when they're being told to me. And so when Iran happens, and I read the articles talking about it, I'll react in real time to my opinion of what's occurring. But as for preparing for Iran, I don't know what's happening in that case, because I just I'm not saying it's out the window based off of how our current geopolitical stance are going under Trump's second term so far, but I've been hearing a lot about talk about Iran for a while now, and nothing's been happening. So I will wait for that when it happens, and I'm sure Israel's involved some way, shape, or form because they're always involved. So, what about V or Nexanar? Well, V does. I don't count V as a VTuber. I know he uses the troll model, but he's not a VTuber in my eyes. As for Nox, I don't touch him. I don't talk about him either. Like, it is what it is. Stop letting people scam you. I would have to go into this thing and fix it somehow, and I don't know how to fix it. And I'm not going to do that live on stream. So I'm just hoping that people are going to be nice and not send me things in foreign currency to get past the system. It will be fixed before tomorrow, that's for fucking sure. God damn it. Thank you, Clarky, for the $5 those. Romanians right now, goddamn, she loves Romanian political opinion. She knows them so much. Yeah, so much that I fucking get shocked by it. Oh, So, oh boy, I had the best video to explain the bullshit to you. Well, I guess stream suggestions where it's at, so I can ignore it. No, I didn't plan on going to stream suggestions sometime because there's been some videos that I saw that I want to react to eventually. So Amal should consider herself lucky that color only goes to 100. Oh yeah, that's one thing I did change. Is that you can do it over $100 now. So if you even because I had it before that only registered 100, but now if you give more than 100, it still registers regardless of the case. There's no but keep in mind it's not going to shock me more if it goes over 100 because I already have it at max level for that I can handle. Yeah. Yeah, you need a guy that can fix your technology. I agree. That's why I talked to random men to fix it for me. Winters and Trium have sworn off of the shock collar. They refuse to help me with it, and so I have to turn to whoever's willing to help me. I go to them and I beg, please help me with this thing. And for some reason they say yes. Winters and Trium were a hard fucking no. They completely refused to help me with the shock collar because they're like, oh, we're not touching this degeneracy. So
You've got to clear them out. And the Liberals are just a block in between the other two that give the other two their ideas. All the sort of destructive ideas that Phillips is in favour of and that I talked about earlier. You've got to clear them out as well. There needs to be a new start. And it won't be UKIP and it won't be the Greens. Even though there are good ideas which are green, and the idea of leaving the European Union, the UKIP option, is an attractive one that should be supported. But there is only really one option for this country.
Hold on, wait a second. Alex interrupt. Excuse me, I must try something just now. No. How do I turn this thing off? Hold on, I have to turn this off now. How do I turn this off? Hold on, wait, hold on. I don't know what $100 is in fucking rubles or whatever it is in Romanian currency, but I'm turning this off now! How do I do that? Disabled. Okay. I'm saved. If somebody actually does throw a genuine $100, I will manly do it. But not for whatever the fucking is in Romanian gypsy fucking shekel coin bullshit. No thank you.
And that is to vote for a party which is patriotic, which is British, which is elitist, which is nationalistic, which believes that the only socialism or the only social concern that really is validated by history, by genetics, by identity, is patriotism. Patriotism is the only thing that ties people together within a group in their difference. It aligns people together. It can overcome the breaches and divisions of class within our society. The blue of social conservatism, opposed in shorthand to everything UAF says that they stand for. The red of socio-economic concern, particularly for people at the bottom of the prior economic pyramid. The Tories have no concern about such people at all. The Conservative definition of patriotism excludes half the population from the very beginning. We must bring the two classes together. We must bring the North and the South together. We must bring the red and the blue together. And if you look at the Union flag, there's plenty of white in the red, white and blue. And let's say to all of the politicians who've ruled us for 45, for 50, for 60 years, that we don't like Mr. Phillips and his Equality Commission, that equality in relation to others, in relation to us, is inequality in relation to us, and we don't favour it. That we don't favour political correctness, that we don't favour the ideologies that have been imposed on us, which are a soft form of Marxism peddled by New Labour and their friends, whether they're in the trade unions or even in the boardrooms of European companies that have friendly contacts in the European Union. That we don't agree with what has been done in the last 50 or 60 years. And there is only one way in which that can change. There is only one way in which our people can rescue the plight in which they find themselves. And that is to vote for this political party, to support tendencies of the right and of patriotism and of national renewal. To realise that what will this country be like in 120 years on present trends? What will the health service be like? What will the level of taxation be like? What will an average inner comprehensive school be like in 80 years? Never mind 120. Look at what they're like now. In South London now, schools have 200 cameras inside them. Schools have metal detectors to take the koshes, the knives and the guns off the students before they go in. And that's before they've even got in. But as we're told, GCSE and other standards rise on every year. The standards go up, but they can't read and write, and there isn't a job to them to go to. And when they emerge from these pits, they end up talking like Jamaican gangsters on imported US television programmes. This needs to change. And the only way it will...
I mean, once again, it's the brownification of the society, that case. Like, I understand where he's coming from for blaming America. And there are valid criticisms about the Americanization of England in particular. But a lot of it is also Britain going along with it because, once again, the globalists are more than happy to, because they're putting their voter base even then. It's the brownification of their own society. Or the third world become the third world. Third world's a fucking shithole for a reason. They have gangs, they rape, they murder. Doesn't matter if you ban guns or knives, they will still murder regardless. They will still have their gang warfare. They'll still rape no matter what you do. It's not really America that is the problem importing that stuff. It's Europe itself also importing it because they're in agreement, they're in tangent, they're in line with the globalist system of their Great Replacement. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a game theory. It's actually real. This was in 2009 that he made this speech. Excuse me. But the United Nations made a report back in 2001 talking about the Great Replacement and how to do it. Once again, it's globalism that is the problem here, not just the Amerification. There are criticisms once again, but this isn't it. This isn't one of those criticisms that can be made, and in my opinion, for things. And obviously, I'm biased as I am American, but I'm also an Anglophile. I do want Britain, and I do want England to be for the English. I do want their culture. I don't want them to become Americanized, because I like England to be what England is for the English and their own culture. But the ghettoification, the brownification, the gang violence that he's talking about, that's just because of the third world in general, not America. So... the UKification of Britain, yes. Thank you, Vlad, for the raid over a number. Thank you. For the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome in, raiders. We're watching Bowden after a femboy pestered me enough. And then obviously Phalanges also came in too. I have to give credit where credit is due. In this case, we're almost done here. We're almost done. Just getting through. Mods, if you could shout him out in the Rumble chat, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Change isn't through fantasies, isn't through marching like the English Defence League in city streets. It's through voting, and it's through politics. It's the only chance we've got. And 2/3 of our people won't even vote in the European elections. They can't moan if they don't vote. And the only vote that's meaningful is for the British National Party. The only vote that threatens the establishment is for this party, is for the tendencies of opinion that it represents. And when you vote, you're voting against what Brown stands for. You're voting against what Obama institutionalises. You're voting against what the European Union stands for. But you're not just voting...
Thank you, Alex and Rub, for the $5, fucking gypsy. And that, I did not disable that because I was hoping that I wouldn't have to worry about it, but I'll just have to take it through for the stream. Shame that the old laws were put on the Roma and the medieval Roma can't be brought back in effect for newcomers then. Yes. Sorry, it took me a second. I think the shot got to my brain there. Yeah, that would be great, but alas, that is too spicy for the modern age. So we are more progressive. We are enlightened. We are more sensible than that, and it's unfortunate.
Against, you're voting for. You're voting for what you are. You're voting for this land. You're voting for this village stroke town. You're voting for this region. You're voting for what your grandfather and father fought for. Vote for them. Vote for yourself. Vote for the generations who are coming. And always support strength and identity and freedom of speech and England and Britain forever. Thank you very much.
So voting, I have to tread the line here. On one hand, you should keep on voting, because if you give up and you blackpill and you don't vote, you just make it a million times easier for them to win. I'm going to use Virginia as an example because it's a good recent example of where the Republicans were fucking retarded. Of course they are. Once again, they're just going the speed limit. They're part of the problem. Unique party, all that fun stuff that I mentioned before. And they threw up a black fucking woman that celebrated DEI and Black History Month and all this other fucking bullshit that nobody supports, nobody likes, right? They actually ran a white man that was talking about the actual issues that care about, that actually affect the modern Americans. They probably would have won. And so Democrat won, and immediately the first few things she did was raise taxes across the board, and change voting legislation, and a whole bunch of other things that I covered that I've already forgotten, to make the lives of Virginians worse. And I do think in that situation, voting would have mattered. When it comes to the more local scale. I do know that fortification does exist even on the local level. In this case, it's the governor, so it's only half local. It's more like regional, right? You know, state level. But I do think in that case it would have mattered. But at the same time, not like it would have mattered much, seeing that the candidate that the Republicans threw up was the black woman. So probably would have been the same thing at the speed limit after all, anyways. So that's where voting doesn't matter, because you're both eating shit, right? It's just the quantity of shit that you're eating out of. It's like a burger, right? You either have a couple small turds of shit, or the whole entire thing is shit. Either way, you're still eating shit. Just how much you really want out of it. And that's where voting doesn't. And obviously, you know, we gotta vote our way out of things for obvious reasons. And I know that doesn't make people happy in that case, which is understandable because, well, gotta vote our way out of this. You know. And that's, you know, but that's not an easy thing to do. And it won't happen overnight. So, you still need to be involved with your local community. You still need to engage with things. You still need to be, you know, go to the food bank, help out your local community, go to church, you know, help your elderly, you know, actually get involved on the local scale, which I am being 100% hypocritical in this case since I don't leave my own fucking house. But that is the correct thing to do. And handle that to keep on pushing forward, and slowly but surely change will be made, and that's the best way to do so. And then once enough people are awoken to the fact that we had to vote our way out of this, then maybe we can vote harder. If yeah. We'll have to vote much harder in order to get rid of the 19th. Yes, exactly. So American makes burger analogy. Yes, of course I am, because I'm American, right? Freedom and guns and eagles and burgers. Oh, and honestly, a burger sounds really good right now, but I'm hungry. So, yeah. Anyways, one should not ignore the crippling tell to your run from danger just because he cannot do the same. Yes. On the local scale, I vote for the minority party, Hungarian party. I feel like that's... If you're Romanian, I feel like... I don't know. I don't understand Romanian politics. He doesn't talk about Romanian politics, so I don't understand. So... Whatever happened to the BNP in 2009 was the biggest I'd ever seen. In 2012, they lost for the seats and I was gone. Yay, voting. Listen, I don't know the history of the BNP. Other than it was considered, you know, far-right Nazi stuff, you know, because being a nationalist is being far-right Nazis, because that's the state of the situation that we're in. All thanks to a funny mustache man. But, yes. I think there's enough people to understand the drift here. Femcell into shock BDSM does a nose piercing away from crazy leftist zombie. I think you're completely misreading the situation here. I'm gonna be completely honest here. One, femcells don't exist. So, I'm not a femcell. Also, shock BDSM is not my kink. Very clear. I'm never gonna get a nose piercing. Ever. I'm not gonna dye my hair. I'm gonna get a pixie cut again. I already have my leftist face between the years of 12 to 14... 15 roughly there. I've already learned my lesson in those regards. Just because I do something fun for chat to shock me is not a way to becoming a fucking crazy leftist in this case. I am aware of the situation. I would like to think I'm self-aware enough. I'm not gonna let myself be groomed like Finster, becoming from cross-dressing into tranny. Like, I would like to think I'm aware enough of the situation to not allow that to happen. If it's something fun for chat, then it's fun for chat, but that's about as far as it's going. So, she's part canine. We're just teaching her place. That is true. I am a 1/3 wolf. So, and fighting and pressure from outside the fractured. The BNP post 2012-2014 became either irrelevant or non-existent. That makes sense then. So, wait, you put the shock to what amount? 25 for a low shock that's like uncomfortable. 50 for a higher shock that's getting to a little bit of the pain level, and then 100 for max that I can handle. That I can handle is the key word there. I don't have it on max setting. I just have it on max that I can handle. So, I'll groom them all into being a monarchist. That's more likely than anything. I don't think I will become a monarchist. I don't know, cause like I feel like if I feel like Spoon and Aiden would have groomed me to being a monarchist at this point. My thing is that like I don't like monarchy, but I don't like democracy either. I talked about this on Broken Crown, which once again, check out that VOD, be super fucking cool. But I'm undecisive. Like, in this case, like, I don't really like the system. I understand power. I understand we need authoritarianism. And whoever the good guy is in charge, whoever's on my side is what matters. Then left recognizes this, and it's taken me far longer than it should have, but I've finally recognized this as well. In these regards. I would like to think democracy would work if we had a very strict system in place where only white men voted with at least 1 or 2 kids, own land, maybe service guarantee citizenship with some strict restrictions there. You know, different things like that. I would like to think it would work, but that's what we had beforehand. And thanks to small hats and liberalism, that has been dissolved. And so if it's already been dissolved once, I don't really want to try it again. Because I feel like if it's already been done once, it's going to happen again regardless, even if we want to think about it, even if we think that we can learn our lessons from it. And so that's my hesitancy to go back to democracy there. But I don't trust monarchy in the modern age either. I don't see it actually working. The benefits of monarchy were all the fact that it was feudalism, and it would take days to travel and spread messages to collect taxes. There's already, like, you know, lords and bishops and a bunch of other power scaling things to make the hierarchy of different stuff. So there already were similar systems in place, and we won't really, it's going to be very, like, it's modern monarchy is going to be a weird mix of, like, big brother authoritarian state and democracy into one, in my opinion, thanks to technology. And I don't really want that. But I also recognize power is important. However, as long as my side has power, that's all that matters. So I don't really label myself because I don't know what to label myself as, because I see flaws in all the systems and I don't really see which one's actually the beneficial one. In my opinion. Starship Troopers style democracy serves for citizenship and Brotherhood for citizenship. No one else gets the vote. Disagree. Problem with service for citizenship is that people join for the wrong reasons. So we need restrictions in place for it. We can already see this in the modern day military. There's lots of benefits for joining the military because if you're putting your life on your line, you should be able to get benefits if you're willing to risk your life. But then you have these people who join just for the free college, for the healthcare, for the kickbacks, everything else in between, and they don't actually care. They're banking on getting some cushy job, without actually risking their life at all, and they abuse the system. You see that a lot with all the nuns that join the military and they actually hate America, or the women as well who do it and become fucking barracks bunnies. When they make TikTok videos talking about how much they hate America too, they're actual traitors. They should not be involved. They can make the argument, okay, well maybe nuns shouldn't be in the army, you know, maybe women shouldn't be in the army, which I agree with both of those, by the way. But then I have people like my brother who did the exact same thing. My brother's a white man, believe it or not. So there needs to be some sort of restrictions in place. Some sort of like tier level for depending on what job that you do in the military. Like if you actually go fight in the war, different story. If you sit on your ass, then maybe not so much. Like obviously people who are in the back end doing logistics are important. So like I don't want to like completely dismiss them. But there are, once again, different tiers. Oh fuck, not again. So, and in that case, which is why there needs to be restrictions in place. And even, I know I see Delta Cross saying, "Sir, I serve now, so my 30 children get the vote." We don't need that. And even with children, it needs to be restrictions in place, so the single motherhood problem can't be redone all over again. Or a woman can just pop out fucking babies and have kids, or in this case, men. Right? They need to be married. You know, man and woman, married, at least one kid. Needs to be the requirement there to stop single motherhood or people abusing the system in that case. Property would be ideal, but when you have people like Bill Gates buying like a third of America's land, and BlackRock driving houses pricing up like crazy, and then Trump also being like, we need to make people who own homes even wealthier. We're going to actually make housing pricing goes up. It makes it really hard to actually own property. Obviously, you know, we would try to get rid of that system that made BlackRock and Bill Gates possible, but it still would be a loophole to abuse the system, and we just use property as an example. But I also don't want people who can just rent for the rest of their lives. I don't want renting to be a common thing either. So, but once again, there's flaws no matter what the system that you use, and so we need to try to fill as many caveats as possible. And to make it hard, and then at a certain point you're gonna have like nobody left. But at least it'll be better than what we have now, where women and nons get the vote. So, terrorists doesn't have to be just military. Same thing. Like it's same thing as abused. And most people, when they say service guarantees citizenship, they do mean military in particular. Though, you know, being a firefighter or police officer would be pretty good too. But then there's going to be cracks in that system as well. Like, it's one of those things where you need to think deeper than just service guarantees citizenship. Deeper than have kids. Deeper than just white men. Like, you need to have multiple layers of restrictions in place because all that stuff can be easily abused and used against, and then we're going to be in the exact same situation that we're in now. So, but thank you, Alex and Rob, for the $5 reduce. You can just those who are in for the wrong reason at the highest risk area to cleanse the blood. Yeah, but I'm not okay. Sorry, it took me a second to understand what you were saying. But the thing is, if somebody's a traitor, somebody who's purposely trying to join the military to extract the benefits, I don't want them on the front lines. Because then, like, they're not going to be effective. They're not going to be willing to actually die for the country. They're going to, like, they're going to run away. They're going to desert. Or they're going to fuck things up on purpose because they're actively against America. And so I don't want them on the front lines. I'd rather just not be involved. I'd rather them not join the military in the first place. So, believing in limited democracies is retarded as believing in limited migration. Yeah, I mean, I can see the appeal of limited democracy, but once again, we already did that once, and it failed, and now we're in the state that we're in now. So, I'm not a fan of trying to do that again. I can make propositions for limited democracy if we do decide to go that route, but I'm not advocating for it. But then again, I'm not advocating for any system. I'm a person who just shows problems when I have no solution. I'm not the solution maker, which there are people out there that criticize me for that, and understandable, right? If you point out problems but don't give solutions, then you just blackpill and make people demoralized, and in a way you're a part of the problem. But my case is that, and maybe I'm being a little bit, like, I'm being, I don't know, justification here, right? No accountability, no responsibility, woman strikes again. I don't feel like I'm smart enough, I'm not well read enough, and I'm not confident enough in any system to be able to really give the solutions. Because I see flaws in all of them. And so I don't think there's any perfect one. I just want my guy to be in charge and do what's right. And that requires authoritarianism. It's just a matter of, I guess, the level of it and how to get there and what comes after. And I just don't have that answer. And it sucks that I don't. But then again, you shouldn't listen to women about politics anyways. So we've tried nothing and are all out of ideas. Well, we have tried a bunch of stuff, though. We've already tried monarchy. And it got us here. We're at a modern monarchy. I know it'd be different than feudal monarchy, but I still see it as flawed in a lot of ways. They've already done democracy, clearly. Here we are. It's been completely corrupted by liberalism, but they go kind of hand in hand in a lot of ways. What, do you want a theocracy? Like, a theocracy is like the same fucking thing as monarchy. It's just with religion more focused on that case, which... Once again, then you also have the church involved, and adds an extra layer of corruption once the church is also involved. You have 2 layers there, in that case. So I'm not exactly a fan of that. Oligarchy, okay, that's just monarchy, but a little bit more democratized. Like, not by much, mind you, but still, it's roughly within the same level. Like, whatever government systems actually exist out there, other than, you know, the funny mustache man version of things. Which, obviously, for YouTube's sake, I can't exactly say much about that. So, like, I don't really feel like... I feel like we've tried everything. It's not gonna be communism, that's for fucking sure. I'll take democracy over communism any day. I know democracy eventually leads to communism, but at least it's no slow death, not an instant death. Not like that's gonna be much better, but still. So she's just blabbering. She doesn't know what she's talking about right now. Well, is that more different than any other day? So like there's always there is a new option. What is the new option? If you say not sock, then I can't talk that much about it for obvious reasons. So, in narco monarchy, you have AI infinite power to ensure limited powers and scope of the government. The fuck? I don't know if I trust AI enough for that. But I'm clinkerphobic, so yeah. And I'm not. Once again, then it goes back to me not being smart enough about these different things. Not well read, because I don't know any new versions. Because obviously communism is relatively new in the grand scheme of things. I mean, there's already like proto-communism before Marx came around, but he kind of, you know, he came around and formalized it a bit more. And even the modern day communism is not the same as it was under Marx. But still. So maybe someday somebody smarter than I will come around and create a new government system in place like he did. But at the moment, I don't see what that is based off my limited knowledge. So I don't actually have the solutions at hand. I just yap a lot. I'm gonna rape you, Amal. Try me, fucking femboy. It would be the ultimate humiliation to place synthetic soulless mind above man. Yeah, I'm not gonna trust the AI. I'm not gonna trust the clankers. I've listened. I might be dumb. Okay, I might be a little bit on the dumb side here. But I know I've read and seen enough conclusions of what happens if you give the computers too much power. I'm not exactly a fan of that, so and I rather, you know, actual humans be in charge. As flawed as they are, humans should be ruling over humans. Oh, you're 5'1". Even he's a femboy, he can toss you like a football. I mean, I guess. But I'm also a 300-pound black man, so I can probably just crush him with my fat fucking ass. I can just imagine his twink little bitch ass trying to throw me, and I just sit on him and fart. Insta death, KO, game over. Just focus on getting mad and staying mad for now, Mal. When you were building Minecraft and for destroy everything in Minecraft, I guess, right? I'm just a messenger in a lot of ways. I'm a very smart messenger. I trip over my words and mutter a lot and stutter a lot and can't remember half the words I'm supposed to say. But I guess I'm just a messenger. And then maybe over time I'll create solutions. But for now, have you seen the Dwarves vs. Amazon video? I have not, but I've heard about it. I know the Dwarves completely kicked the woman's ass. So, like, it is what it is, right? Men are inherently stronger than women. I'm not gonna pretend to be, like, some badass girl boss that can kill men, right? Like, I will be absolutely destroyed with a light tap in the face. Because it would not feel like a light tap to me. But listen, the 300 pounds gotta be useful for something, right? Also, thanks for the vigorous spankings on Kick. There's a lot of vigorous spankings that are happening on Kick right now. So, thank you for that. Thank you. Oh fuck, it's 6:10. Oh, Jesus Christ on a candlestick. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Let me here. That's not the right tab. Oh, that's the stock color tab. Wait. Thank you. Let me... Who is live at this? A man would flex in your direction, you'd fold. Yes, actually. I am weak and feeble. You blow wind in my direction and I just pass out. Like, it's... I am simple. Here, okay. So YouTube Bros, I'm sending you over to Arch. And then Tech Bros, I'm sending you over to Kirsha. And Rumble Bros, stay in the chair as per usual. There we go, there we go, there we go. Thank you, everybody, for today's early stream. Sorry I overslept for the 50th time. We did not hit the goal on YouTube, so no guarantees that I will not oversleep next Friday. Okay? You guys didn't hit the goal. So therefore, I probably will oversleep next Friday. I'm kidding. I'll try my best not to. I'm sorry, chat. Oh, Alex and Rob, thank you for $2 reduce. Sorry, freedom currency all that matters to me. Be happy where I am is 1:10 in the morning. Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Make sure you get some sleep though. Like, that's what matters the most. Like, don't remember, chat. I say this a lot, but always prioritize yourself over a fucking random woman on the internet. No matter what the topic is. So, why the fuck is Pierce's name not copy pasting? This is EA. Please let me copy paste her name, or do I have to actually type it manually? I'm too lazy for this shit. Okay. I think that works now. Anyway, thank you. For stopping by for all your stuff. Big with everything else in between. I will see you guys tomorrow at 7:45 p.m. EST for whatever we cover then. See how the cookie crumbles and all the fun stuff. And yeah. Oh, and then Under the Bridge with V at 2:30 p.m. for whatever we covered then too. Anyways, have a good night. And yeah. Bye. Bye.
I mean, hey, if Pac-Man affected us as kids, we'd all be munching magic pills and listening to repetitive electronic music, am I right?